Cup.
107.5 The Game.
Another step closer to the weekend, to the end of the regular season of college basketball, to the NFL draft. Oh, it is a big day. Patrick Perrette is feeling it. We'll let him, because I have no clue what's going on. I know there's some positional groups that are going to work out today. We're going to let Patrick just get all into the NFL draft combine that will be taking place in Indianapolis today. Get his thoughts on that, get his take on some players and who may be able to enhance their draft stock over the next several days. We gave him a brief second yesterday, but we were so busy, so loaded yesterday, we didn't give him a chance to fully.
Today's the sexy position groups anyway.
Oh, good.
So it's worth talking about. It's the quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends.
It's the 90,
maybe tight ends.
Yeah, the 90 position day, I guess you could say, of the NFL combine.
Go Gunner,
Patrick Perrette, we're back for Thursday. We thought we were all going to just disband and leave you alone. Nope, that's not the case. We're back here for a whole another day. We got another busy day ahead of us. Michael Bull of CBS Sports will join us around 7:30 this morning to talk college basketball. Another kind of free night across the world. College basketball being closer to major tournaments next week. SEC, ACC, Big 12, before really sad news out of the state, out of the college basketball world yesterday. The wife of Dave Mickelson. Dave Mickelson is the head basketball coach of USC Upstate. They were playing in the Big South tournament, and following the game, his wife passed away. Dave Mickelson, a long-time South Carolina resident, originally, I believe, he was from Denmark, Law. Ended up going and playing at Maryland. Patrick was a star there at Maryland and has gone on to some very good things in his career and is now the head basketball coach at USC Upstate. Unfortunate news yesterday for him. I saw it on Twitter for USC Upstate. 54 years of age. And again, I actually got to know when I was doing scouting a good bit. And certainly some tough news there for him yesterday. They were their Southern Big South Conference tournament, but I think they won 78-77 was the score there yesterday, I believe, was the victory they picked up. I think that basketball is not the news there. It's just human news there, and unfortunate way for him to find out there, I believe. But I believe they played Charleston Southern today, if I've read that bracket correctly. Barkley, Radball, and Charleston Southern. So the Big South tournament already taking place here around the state as we move toward NCAA tournament time. Charleston Southern with a 1-point win over UNC Asheville yesterday. There again in the Big South tournament. So we'll continue to talk about college basketball as we move closer and closer to what should be a really interesting NCAA tournament. And Patrick, that's what Michael Bull will join us later this morning. Talk big picture. Also, some interesting basketball news yesterday. Georgetown putting out their information that looks like they're going to stick with Patrick Ewing, and that's going to be something that good, go for it. And then Maryland, you mentioned kind of in passing yesterday. We had a lot of time talking about it. Maryland appears to be prioritizing.
Maybe. There was a report yesterday from a radio station in DC that he's at the top of the list, but that doesn't mean
they're at the top of his list.
Yeah, he might not have a list, but yeah, there are a lot of people from New York go to and New Jersey go to Maryland. So there's a lot of people. I'm sure there are country club members doing, but that are Maryland boosters that have in his ears. So yeah, we'll see. But that would be awesome.
So
you think he would win it, right?
You know, you mentioned it briefly in passing, and
I mean, he's not going to will, but just if he goes to a big time school, he can win, right?
So yesterday, let's start with this and then go to that question, because that's a good question, because I have differing opinions on that. yesterday you had kind of around there. It's kind of been over the last few days. Nebraska's going to keep Fred Hoiberg. Arizona State's going to stick with Bobby Hurley. Georgetown's going to stick with Patrick Ewing. So what I thought maybe it still appears Georgia's going to part ways with Tom Crean. It looks like you're going to have an interesting round of coaching. The coaching carousel is going to get going pretty quickly here. Obviously, we just mentioned it, Maryland. You got Louisville already open. We'll see exactly what else becomes available as we go through the next several weeks. So Rick Pitino, the obvious thing, doing very well at Iona. They do have a win over Alabama this year. They made the NCAA tournament last year. They're projected at this point to get back to the NCAA tournament, and obviously he is winning there without 4 and 5 star massive recruits that he's getting out of high school. I don't know who exactly he brought in the transfer portal. I know he brought in a couple key players there in the transfer portal for this particular season, and has been able to do some big things there in regard to transferring or turning over his roster and now being a very good basketball team. With that being said, now you put him, let's say, in Maryland, and you ask, do I think he will win? I'm not going to sit here and like beat around the bush on it. I know that Rick Pitino had a lot of help from Nike and from Adidas during his time at those schools. His job recruiting and his assistant's job recruiting, while still difficult because you were battling for elite level players, was made a little less difficult when you go back and you read the story of Brian Baldwin, when you read the story of let's just go with Kentucky Anthony Davis, even though he was not at Kentucky. During Anthony Davis, obviously Kentucky was in the 90s, but there's no doubt he had a tremendous amount of help on the recruiting trail. Under Armour does not provide that. Across the board, Under Armour is not a shoe company that necessarily helps. I know Auburn is still part of Under Armour, I believe.
Isn't Iona? I thought Iona was a Under Armour school.
I have no clue what Iona actually is. They're 16-2 in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. They're 24-5 overall. He is an incredible coach. I don't want to take away anything that Rick Pitino has done as a X's and O's basketball coach. He is a fantastic basketball coach. Still, when you go to that level, you enter the Big Ten, and you're competing with Tom Izzo and I guess Jawan Howard and Mike Victon Win, who's now in Indiana. They lost last night by 3 on the 3 of Ron Harper Jr. and Rattler, but I'm just naming some of them. You go with Ohio State, Wisconsin, Purdue, Matt Painter. You've got to still be able to recruit some really good players. You just can't go in and take those guys out.
Those apparel company relationships are less important than ever now, right?
I don't think it's going away.
It's not going away, but there's other avenues to make money now.
It's still the ultimate goal. It's always been when you the way it would always work was Nike or Adidas in particular were scouring the grassroots level basketball for the next star. And they wanted to get in with that star in the 9th, the 10th, the 11th grade to be able to send that star to an Adidas or a Nike school. This is what has transpired over the last few years. This is why you have This is why you have Sean Miller now. Yes, Sean Miller's out of coaching because Arizona fell off a little bit. Now they're back. It's why Will Wade was in such hot water. It's why Bill Self has been in such hot water. The coaches were kept abreast of situations. Rick Pitino, in regards to Brian Bowen, they were told, hey, here's what's going on. Here's how we're trying. We still need you to recruit him. We still need you to show him why, Kansas or Baton Rouge or Louisville, Kentucky is the place this kid wants to spend because there's other Nike schools. Billy Donovan once was very upset Florida being a Nike school, Kentucky being a Nike school in the 90s and in the early 2000s, that Nike was giving preferential treatment to Kentucky and not Florida. It was, hey, if we've got an elite player, let's kind of get him to Kentucky. Now, Kentucky still has to recruit that kid and show him why Lexington, Kentucky, and that system and everything is the fit for him. But you would have these shoe companies get in early with these recruits with the intention of, hey, they're going to go to college, and then we're going to sign them to the mega deal when they go to the NBA. So, yeah, here's 10,000, 15,000, 100,000 to certain recruits to wear Nike and to go to a Nike school. Kind of don't care. We'd prefer you go to this one. We'd prefer you go to that one. But at the end of the day, you're making your decision based on where you feel most comfortable. It's why you've seen LSU and why you see an LSU basketball program that's not tradition rich, be able to land. And why you see Will Wade get in the get in the headlines for making strong bleeping offers, as he said. Yes, there was more to that. That money was not necessarily always coming from boosters of the school. Whereas when we cut up and we laugh about, like, say, was it Eric Dickerson's, I think Trans Am was the car back in the recruiting days, the Texas A&M, or you hear about whatever may have happened with Herschel Walker. That was always the interesting thing to me as I got into the basketball scouting and you hear the stories. College football is more about the boosters and what the boosters would do to entice recruits to come. College basketball has always been about what the shoe company was doing, not necessarily the boosters behind the scenes. Yeah, there were boosters involved. There were people involved from the school, but it was more of the shoe company getting in with the mega dollars, with the offers for, hey, here's what we're going to do for you in 3 or 4 years as soon as you go to the NBA. You didn't have Nike tracking down the next Dan Marino, we'll just use his name, or the next, John Elway or whatever, going, oh, there's a stud quarterback as a junior at Lexington High School. We need to go ahead and lock him up and get him wearing Nike cleats and send him to a Nike football school. It's totally different. And so I say all that because while I don't think the shoe companies have the influence they once had, I'm not going to sit here and say that that's gone away. It's still kind of like the mafia. The mafia reigned supreme under John Gotti and was front and center on the headlines of the news. It seemed like a lot, during John Gotti's reign. Now the mafia is still there. We just don't hear about it quite as much.
Yeah, because one, a lot of the kids that the shoe companies would get all hot and bothered for are now just going to the G League. That's part of it.
Right.
Coaches don't care as much about high school recruiting because of the transfer portal, which is another thing about Rick Pitino. He would come, if he goes to a big-time school like a Maryland, I think he's immediately going to haul in a big-time transfer class.
I don't know.
I mean, Maryland is not just the state of Maryland, the D.C., Maryland, Virginia, Northern Virginia area, the public school, the WCAC, the conference with Paul VI, DeMatha, high schools like that, is the most talented county. Prince George's County, Maryland, is probably the most talented county in the United States. All the best players have not been going to Maryland recently. Somebody just has to keep them in Maryland, and if Rick Pitino is there and they get a couple transfers and people feel like they can win, and you get the boosters involved, just giving them big-time deals. I mean, there's so much money. Rick Pitino could bring New York money because there's tons of Marylanders in New York. I wouldn't think it would be that long of a rebuild.
Well, Maryland,
the facilities are good. They don't have a practice arena. That's one thing, but
and there is something to be said for that Maryland is. I don't think you'd ever label Maryland a blue blood of college basketball, but they have a national championship. They have a history. They, unfortunately, that history is more tied to the ACC than it is the Big Ten. The rivalries,
which
the
is
clashes.
Why I didn't work with Mark Turgeon because he signed up to be an ACC coach.
Right, and so with all that being said, I understand. I don't know. Rick Pitino will be 70 at the start of next basketball season, and recruiting in basketball is 365 days a year as much as it is football, with getting out and traveling and having to invest in these guys. And I think that's going to be my big question is if Rick Pitino does indeed want to take a bigger job, and the man sold a $17 million mansion. If you haven't seen the pictures of the mansion he sold in Miami, it's ridiculous. Have you seen the pictures of it?
No.
Google
Rick Pitino Miami house.
Oh, well, a Miami mansion he sold, I believe 2 years ago. I don't think it might have been last year. If not, it was 2 years ago. I think it was 2020 that he sold his $17 million mansion.
Nice.
Yeah, you could find a way to live there. If you haven't this morning, take time. It's a safe for work Google. You'll be okay with that. But he now lives on Wingfoot up in New York. There was pictures of him. I believe it was last summer. I believe it was last. I could be wrong on that. It could be 2 years ago. Time eludes me now, but
he's in year 2 at Iona.
Yeah, I think it was last summer when they had the U.S. Open at Wingfoot, and he basically built a balcony. He lives on number 3 up there on the 3rd hole, and built a grandstand because I think capacity was limited, and he built a grandstand to be able to watch the U.S. Open. There, I think it was last year. It might have been 2 years ago because there's pictures of him sitting up there with a mask on.
That
with
sounds
his
very
assistant.
familiar. Yep.
Yeah. He's living. without going too far into detail, I haven't talked to Rick Pitino since PJ Dozier's recruitment, and would talk with him a little bit as he was trying to keep updated on what was going on. His right-hand man, who got into some trouble, Jordan Fair, is still a good friend of mine, and we still talk regularly about some certain situations in college basketball and just the landscape of it. The last time I discussed situations with him, he basically seemed to think Rick is very, very happy in New York. There's another golf course, I forget that he told me he's a member at Wingfoot. There's another golf course that he's a member of that's a very prestigious course up there in that area. He's got his grandkids around him. He's got his family around him. It's kind of a Steve Spurrier situation at South Carolina in terms of he's got everything right around him right now, and there is zero pressure to do anything at Iona.
No, but I don't think anyone would expect sell your house, pick up and move to College Park, Maryland, and start a new life there. And that's not what it's going to be. It's, hey, you want one more shot at the big time. You're 70 years old. Not like you can't coach until you're in your late 70s. How old's Krzyzewski? Is he 80?
I don't think he's 80.
He's old, though. Jim Boeheim's 77. Like, you can still coach. You can give it a solid 5 years.
Yeah.
Go coach for 5 years. Keep your house.
Krzyzewski's 77.
It's a 4-hour.
Krzyzewski just turned 77.
It's a 3.5, 4-hour drive from there to New York. You can go back on the weekends, and if you need to go visit the grandkids or whatever, they can come down and see you. It's plenty of public transit when you're in those Northeast states. It's very easy. So it would just be all about, hey, do you want to retire at Iona, or do you want to try and win one more national championship, advance your legacy, be known as one of the greatest coaches in college basketball history? How many national championships does he have?
One, I think.
Just one?
Just one. Let me look that up. I feel like
Coach K's not going to be happy with you, though, because I've got that he's 75, not 77.
No, he said Boeheim 77. Krzyzewski's 75.
You did say 77.
Yeah.
Maybe the number 77 was stuck in your head because I had just said 77 about Boeheim.
I was literally looking at it. It said 75, so I apologize. By the way, there was Boeheim news as well yesterday. We'll get to that here in a few minutes in terms of college basketball. There's a lot going on as we move around. National tournament champions, 96 and 2013, although the 2013 title, this is why I thought of only one, because apparently the NCAA came in with a little memory eraser. The 2013 title has been vacated by the NCAA.
Still counts. Reggie Bush won the Heisman. Rick Pitino won the national championship.
Yep, 1996 with Kentucky and 2013 with Louisville. And
go win a national championship at a third school. Not many people have done that.
You're right. There is that level. There is what you just said. There is the idea there that, his reputation has been tarnished and so forth and so on. And going to a Maryland and getting back just to a Final Four would be something absolutely
There's no doubt
incredible.
that's a team that you can lead to a national championship. They have everything you need.
I think if he was 5 years younger, I think it's a no-brainer because he would look at it as like an 8 or 9 year job. Yeah, I could take it for 8 or 9. At this point in his career, we'll see what happens.
That's also why
him.
I was kind of thinking I'm not surprised there are Maryland fans that want him, but for people to say that he is the number one choice, I'm a little surprised by when you got Andy Enfield, who's putting together big-time teams at Southern Cal and would take the Maryland job in a heartbeat.
I think that's a great question. Somebody asked that to me a couple weeks ago. If you had unlimited funds, if writing the check is not the problem right now, and you could go out amongst NCAA basketball coaches and hire the person you want to hire, who would be that person? Like if money is not an option, if you're just going to write a blank check, to any coach out there, who is because Nick's
Cal.
Who?
Be Cal, right?
I don't know. I didn't know who the answer was.
I think it'll be.
I don't know.
I think it would be.
You've got a blank check and you can go give it to any. Honestly, my answer to this is a guy who doesn't coach basketball, is in the front office of the Boston Celtics, probably Brad Stevens.
Yeah.
It's probably the guy.
Well, that's why Indiana wanted him so bad.
But let's go back to let's just focus on, you've got a blank check for anybody in college basketball.
I don't know. It's so, because you can look at, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who's known to be.
Can you make the case? Chris Beard, what he just did at Texas Tech?
Impressive.
Bruce,
who is known as the best X's and O's coach in college basketball. Because in college football, it's like everyone kind of has their own style, and you think of Dabo, and it's just like, oh, he's a recruiter, he's a face of a program guy. Nick Saban is the culture, just the Saban culture, and then you look at Lincoln Riley, and you're like, well, X's and O's, he's probably about as good as it gets. He's just an offensive mastermind. But in college basketball, we never really know those.
I don't
never
know.
really know those roles.
On the live stream, Larry weighs in with a guy that somebody had mentioned to me before, Bruce Pearl. Look at the results Bruce Pearl has had at Tennessee and at Auburn. And look, in some of this,
I don't know how good of a coach is Mark Few.
Seems to be pretty good.
Seems to be doing all right.
That's why I don't know if there is a, you talk about two very good jobs. They're probably Louisville
Top
and Maryland.
20.
Yeah, I was going to say probably outside the top 10, but they're right there fringe, 10 to 20 jobs across the country. They're not going to necessarily land. Ed Cooley at Providence is a guy that's been mentioned. I don't know. We'll continue talking about this. Michael Boland coming up at 7:30 this morning. We'll continue down a discussion here as college basketball season continues to wrap up. Some good games last night. Arkansas, a thriller over LSU out in Fayetteville. A really good game there. You also had a pretty good game. Speaking of Indiana, you were talking about him, and I mentioned Mike Woodson because I watched that game last night. And Ron Harper Jr., I think you mentioned him a couple of weeks ago, just nails a 3 with 2 seconds left to propel Rutgers past Indiana in Assembly Hall last night. Auburn was a game that I brought up to our good buddy Brian Edwards of Vegas Insider yesterday, and Auburn goes on to win that game over Mississippi State in overtime. 81-68. Just in case you're wondering, Brian Edwards yesterday, he gave 3 picks that he liked. He liked the St. John's. He liked St. John's. I think it was -4 over Xavier. St. John's was at home. I think it was 4. Does that sound right, Patrick? Whatever it was, he covered easily. St. John's blows out Xavier yesterday, 81-66. So he hit that. I believe he also liked I believe he liked an over or under on that, and I believe he hit that as well. I can't exactly. I've got it we both got it in our Twitter account. I can go back and look. And he also liked last night Miami -4 to 4.5 over Boston College, and Miami wins by 11 over Boston College last night, 81-70. So a pretty good night for our guy Brian Edwards of Vegas Insider who joined us. Coming up this morning, again, 7:30, Michael Boland of CBS Sports will join us. We'll get more into big picture national college basketball. And then at 8:40 this morning, our good buddy, Kerry Tharp of Darlington Raceway will join us for another weekend. The NASCAR boys head to Las Vegas. There will be some gambling done, and then there'll be some driving done, which is all the typical things you do out in Vegas. Correct, Jen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go hit
take it all in.
The slots, the crap machines, or the craps tables, the slot machines, maybe a little blackjack, and then go drive about 500 laps around the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Last time I was out there, it was being used for something entirely different. The largest electronic rave concert, I believe, in this country and possibly the world is what
I don't think it's the world, but I do think it's America.
You know what?
Electric Daisy Carnival.
That was something else.
Yeah.
Clothes were optional.
EDC.
It took 2 days to figure out it literally took me 2 days to figure out what was going on the sidewalks of Las Vegas.
Wow, interesting. I didn't realize that's what that was.
I'd like to think I'm not naive, but the Friday that we got out there I was a little confused, to say the least. I was not sure where I had arrived to.
I personally think that there should be early game trips.
Oh,
and like one to Vegas.
What'd you call it again? The Electric Daisy Carnival Fest?
But not for that.
You should have seen this thing, Jen. I mean, I'd be getting up, and it's an all-nighter like type deal, and it was occurring at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and where the buses like for the I was gonna say strip, and then that would have coincided with what appeared to be happening. But the buses that would take the people there, the party goers, we'll use that word, out to the festival. They were about 2 blocks from where we stayed at the Aria Hotel, and they would come back in the morning, and I would be getting up, especially on Saturday morning. That was the weekend South Carolina played Texas A&M. And so, out there, you're trying to get to the books by 9 a.m. because the football games are starting at 12. So as I'm trying to get down and get coffee and maybe a biscuit and get over to the books to place some bets, the party goers are coming back, and it was a scene. It was I've seen some stuff in my time, and that's going to be top 3
Really?
when I get into my hopefully to my 70s and tell my grandkids about things I saw.
Mhm.
The things I saw people coming back, I was like, huh, not real sure where I'm at right now.
Wow.
Small pupils.
Small
They're
small
just
pupils, not
yeah.
people. So I was like,
Yeah, I
I
was
don't,
yeah.
oh, I wasn't paying that close attention, but
I know
yeah,
Carb Day can get a little crazy at Indy, which when, you could get flashed pretty easily, but this sounds much
Oh, they
on a
didn't know what
much
planet
grander
they were
scale.
on.
it was something.
Okay.
It was something.
Interesting.
That's the modern day
Woodstock?
Woodstock,
Okay.
basically.
It's something. 803-404-6100. That's how you can be a part of the program this morning. If you want to hop on the text line or if you want to join us on the Love Chevy phone lines, you can always hop over to the Buford Lending live stream to join in this morning. Travis, Larry, Kyle, LeVar, Jason, got a whole group of people. Decor, Robin, Anthony, they are all up and at it. You can go to youtube.com, search 1075 The Game, and click and subscribe, join, and have a good time. You can join on in there, watch us as we interact with you throughout the morning. Again, a lot to speak about. We'll talk about the NFL draft combine when we return. Get Patrick Prett's take on that. You're listening to the early game on 1075 The Game.
Here's what's coming up on the next Extra Point.
Hey guys, Pearson Fowler of the Extra Point here for you. Coming up on the Thursday Extra Point, we'll continue to get you ready for the South Carolina men's basketball season finale against Auburn and the women gearing up for the SEC tournament, plus a lot of football sound as some of the newcomers got a chance to speak to the media for the first time.
The Extra Point with Pearson, Preston, and Gamecock Central. 9 a.m. to noon on your
What was the Maggie and Perloff show playing? Dan Patrick off this week? It's on the live stream. I'm reading the live stream. It's a comment we just got on the live stream. I thought they were on WFAN. I don't know much about them, but I knew one of the Danettes was leaving. When is the last time a men's or women's basketball team started preseason number one, was number one all season, and won the national championship? Lady Gamecocks have that opportunity. I don't want to be mean, but Connecticut probably did it for like a decade. Yeah, I mean, they did it quite a few times. Oh. I guess Heath was off yesterday.
I don't think this guy, as I'll read that again, I think he's just asking, I think he knows that it's occurred. I think he's just asking, when was the last time?
Yeah. Well, last time Connecticut did it. Hopefully no one. Hopefully they're trading that pick for a quarterback.
Did they have any audio from the football players yesterday?
We got 2 minutes.
He was out, so it was cut late, so I got to fill in. I got to do 1 hour for Keith today from 5 to 6. So I doubt if Keith was out, I doubt that he was going to contact us.
I doubt he worked.
That's true. He's only doing beat show. Terry doesn't, right? Terry may have done it. Terry. If you just Spencer, shoot on Gamecocks online, just get a couple clips of Spencer Rattler, and we'll play that at some point this morning. You can have that. I don't really care to anybody else, but he would be interested to play a few comments on. I'll play this morning at some point, probably in the 7 o'clock hour for you again. Just I don't. There was a bunch of the talk, but he's the only one who really would be your phone. .35 on a Thursday morning, March the 3rd. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen. How we are rolling along here. What we were talking about in the first segment was college basketball. We will get into some college football here shortly. Spencer Rattler, Terrell Dawkins, Devonnie Reed, Lavassier Carroll, all speaking yesterday for South Carolina football. We'll get some Spencer Rattler audio here shortly. Nothing earth-shattering, Patrick. I mean, it wasn't something that we're really going to dive into throughout the day, but we'll get some Spencer Rattler audio. First time he had spoke publicly since becoming a South Carolina Gamecock and talked about his transition to Columbia and to the program. And the only thing that I'll say, and again, we'll get some audio shortly, is the guy who I think consistently gets praised by his teammates. I don't really care who the other quarterback is Luke Doty. Have you noticed that? Spencer Rattler, again, talking yesterday about Luke Doty and how they push each other, and Doty has really been there to help him transition. I don't know what Luke Doty will ever be as a quarterback. We saw him this year. I really, truly think that he played pretty much every game that he was a part of with probably a broken foot. Like, I don't think that thing ever healed. You know, I think it was Mike Uva who put out the report in August that Doty could be out for the year, and that was quickly rebuffed. And then he was kind of ready for the Eastern Illinois game, and he was kind of ready for the East Carolina game, and then he was kind of ready for the Georgia game, and then he was ready for the Georgia game because Zeb Nolan got hurt.
If I gave you 4 options, Luke Doty ends his career as the starting quarterback of South Carolina. Luke Doty ends his career as a backup quarterback for the University of South Carolina. He ends his career playing quarterback somewhere else, or ends his career playing a different position at South Carolina. As we sit here on March 3rd, 2022.
The crystal ball.
I mean, is there another option? That's all I could.
No,
think that it
you're
would
right
be,
on that. Those are the 4 options.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully you never wish like a career-ending injury on him, so let's not
Sure,
throw that
yeah.
one in there. But Patrick, I'll be honest. The guy that I think, but he doesn't enroll until he doesn't enroll until the summer. I think
Already tired of Braden Davis. You're already looking.
I'm not going.
Looking
I'm just going to Tanner Bailey. I think you watch some of the clips. We'll see. I don't know. Braden Davis is intriguing. Colton Gauthier is a guy that, in terms of a pocket passing quarterback, drew some strong reviews just during the season, trying to get ready. And for once, South Carolina didn't throw a kid out there to the Wolves, a true freshman, and say go get him. And I think that's part of with Luke Doty, that we don't need to give up on him just yet. The only thing that I've ever been surprised about Luke Doty is, for all we heard about his athleticism and scrambling ability, and I know that his foot was a problem this year. He doesn't seem to have that like instinctual just take off, kind of the quickness to burst out of the pocket. That was one thing about Connor Shaw, is Shaw would just take off and be able to. It feels like it takes Doty 2 or 3 steps to get going, and that goes back to last year too.
That which also could go to the injury, and also I think he might be, as a younger player, trying to, in his head, play the position the right way and not escape the pocket. I don't know. I just think there was too much talk about how great of an athlete he was, that he played receiver because he was the best athlete on the team. And then Bruce Feldman puts out his freaks list before the season every single year, where he spends a lot of time talking to every training staff in the country, and then puts out a list of 20 to 30 guys usually that are the overall best athletes in the country. And Luke Doty was on that list this year. I just find it hard to believe that we saw him at his best. There's no shot.
I'm kind of with you on that. I'm not ready to give up on him. I don't think.
I'm saying spot starter for the next couple of years, gets his degree, grad transfers somewhere else.
I could probably go get
kind of.
I just don't know if we've seen what Luke Doty can be at a quarterback.
I think we definitely have not. I think it's clear that we have.
Yeah, I was going to say. So I don't give up on him just yet. I could also see a scenario where he becomes a DeCarrion Joyner type figure. DeCarrion Joyner should go down really as a legend because of what it appears he's going to do with his career, sticking it out, not transferring, especially even after the bowl performance. DeCarrion Joyner, you talk about guys staying in state and becoming legends and having a place with the university forever and always. DeCarrion Joyner should be that. I don't really care what his career ends up being. He's a guy that.
Is it definitely his last year?
We have no clue anymore.
Yeah.
I really
don't know.
I for a person who came up covering football with the Big Spur and ESPN and then doing recruiting, I've given up on years of eligibility with the COVID year and where things stand with that. But the bottom line is I don't know. It's a good question. We'll get some audio from Spencer Rattler in the next hour, as well as get your take. I only bring up Spencer Rattler because this is a guy right now that we thought this time a year ago you would be talking about for the NFL draft combine, and I'll let you preview that in the next segment or get into a little bit of it. There's a lot more. I don't want to just give you 6 minutes on it.
Pick your position. Break it down.
What is you said today is the sexy positions of the NFL combine. Give us just a quick snippet preview of the positions today.
Well, it's quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends. I don't see us learning much from the quarterbacks. Athletic testing isn't that important for quarterbacks. The wide receivers, in my opinion, the best 2 receivers in the draft, Drake London and Jameson Williams, both tore ACLs last year, so they will not be participating. But there is still a pretty darn good receiving class. There's an elite group of 5 that I believe is the top 5. Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave from Ohio State will both be there. And then Treylon Burks, who is a big athletic freak from Arkansas, is probably going to put up some pretty monster numbers. He's could give you a bit of a DK Metcalf vibe from his combine performance today. And then the tight end class is really good. There's not an elite guy. There's no one sniffing Kyle Pitts territory. That'll be next year. But there's a really solid group of 3rd to 5th round tight ends that are going to come in and start from day one. So nobody's going to blow you away in the tight end room. I think the fastest, most athletic guy will probably end up being Isaiah Likely from Coastal Carolina.
We'll get a full breakdown from Patrick coming up next. We'll get into a little bit of that NFL draft combine. Jen's working on getting some of that Spencer Rattler audio. We'll get into that in the next hour. Michael Boland coming up at 7:30 this morning. Kerry Tharp at 8:40. We got a lot on the plate to get to this morning. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. So if you're like me, the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is you ask Siri what the weather is going to be like. Because let's be honest, you need to know. And if it's going to be nice in the afternoon, maybe the next thought is, boy, when I get home, I'm ready to jump in the pool, celebrate another victory of a day. Even though it's only Thursday, no reason you can't go ahead and start the weekend this afternoon. It's going to be in the mid 80s. Maybe that pool is ready to be used and you're ready to relax in it. Maybe it's dirty and you need to call Corley Pool Solutions to have them out there next week, maybe even tomorrow, to get that pool nice and clean. That's right. Tracy Corley and Corley Pool Solutions are ready to help you get that pool ready for summertime use. Give them a phone call today, 803-445-8109. 20 years of experience in the industry helps Tracy Corley make sure your pool is maintained properly on a weekly basis. And they do it all with flat monthly rate pricing, including all the chemicals. And I'm telling you what, the key to having a guy come and take care of your pool means he's there looking at it. You're not going to the pool store, ballparking, taking a guess at what might or might not be wrong, paying for extra chemicals you don't need, and then potentially messing up your own pool. Use a professional. Tracy Corley with Corley Pool Solutions. Call him today, 803-445-8109. Again, the reason I recommend Corley Pool Solutions, he's not sending a team out to take care of your pool. He's there himself. He comes with his team. He's looking at your pool. If you've got a question, you've got direct access to Tracy Corley. You can ask him the questions. You can get the answers from the man himself, not some guy on the customer service line. Tracy Corley is a man of his word. He'll take care of you and your pool and make sure it's ready to be used. So call him today, 803-445-8109. That's Corley Pool Solutions. RL, good luck on the job interview.
Ooh, job interview. Yeah, good
Trim
luck.
the beard. Okay, good job there.
Man, I'm just going through the last 10, 12 draft classes, looking at the QBs that were taken, and just so many busts. I was trying to think of something to compare this class to.
Hmm.
2013 was by far the worst quarterback draft of the last 20 plus years. Bill, 2013, the only quarterback drafted in the first round by the Buffalo Bills. Who was it?
Wait, say that one more time. The only
The worst quarterback draft maybe ever. 2013. One quarterback was taken in the first round by the Buffalo Bills.
2013.
Pick 16. ACC.
Ooh. Oh, EJ Manuel.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a brutal draft. The only first-round pick, and then Geno Smith was taken at 39. I don't even know who the other quarterbacks in that
Is
class.
EJ Manuel even still in the league?
I cannot imagine so. Mike Glennon, Matt Barkley, Ryan Nassib, Tyler Wilson, Landry Jones, Brad Sorensen. Ugh. Not a single decent quarterback in that group.
All right, we got to cut a 25-second AAA. Texting back and forth with Josh because he sent it to me at 7:13 yesterday a.m., so I just ignored it. Well, we were better situated to cut it this morning because we had a day's notice. He's telling me he thought I was professional, so we were busy yesterday. So we'll do that, and then at 8 o'clock we'll cut the little promo thing. Well, you're probably aware this Saturday there's a pretty big baseball game here in town, and Sound and Images and 107.5 The Game will be at the Battle of Bull Street this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon, broadcasting live before the 2022 Clemson-Carolina baseball game at Segra Park. The Fan Fest will be free and open to the public. You can stop by and say hi. Again, we will be out doing a pregame show, 10 a.m. to 12 noon this coming Saturday at Segra Park for the middle game of the South Carolina Clemson baseball series. Sound and Images and 107.5 The Game. We will be out there hanging out, having a good time. 803-404-6100. Let's start you with this question because I do think he is the most intriguing quarterback, not the most intriguing man, but the most intriguing quarterback of the NFL draft because he comes from Liberty. Richard weighs in on our text line and says Malik Willis is the Sam Darnold or Trey Lance of this draft class. Bust, bust, bust. You only named two of them, and they give three busts. Hold on. He's not accurate and trouble breaking down defenses. Freak athlete, but that doesn't make it at all positions if you don't understand how to read and manipulate coverages in the NFL. Number one, let me just say, I don't know how we can label Trey Lance a bust after 1 year in which Jimmy Garoppolo was the already.
So Sam Darnold is not even remotely an athlete. So just even saying Sam Darnold and Trey Lance.
So Malik Willis, let's start with that guy. The guy who doesn't have the double jointed, pinky or thumb or whatever Kenny Pickett's got.
Yeah.
But Malik Willis, where do you put him? Because we've seen him as high as 3 to the Panthers. If they make a trade, I've seen him drop. Some people are mentioning him for your Commanders.
Yeah. If the Commanders strike out on Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, there's talk that they want Mitch Trubisky. If they strike out on the big-time guys, which is really 3 of them, it's Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. If you get none of those guys and you want to sign a B-tier quarterback, fine, and then go ahead and take the shot and draft Malik Willis, I'm okay with it. He's by far the most talented of everyone in this class. I really think this is a terrible QB class. I just don't see any of them really being good. I think they're all backups. Like Kenny Pickett, good at Pittsburgh, tiny hands, good athlete, was never special until he was a 5th-year senior. I think he's a backup. Desmond Ridder is just like okay at everything from Cincinnati. I like him a lot as a player. I think he's tough and a pretty good athlete, and I think he's smart and composed, but I just don't see him being an NFL quarterback. Matt Corral, I'm intrigued by. I like his style, but I think it's a college-y style, and I just can't see him translate into the NFL. I don't think his arm is ridiculous enough for that. Some of the things he does to pay off. And then Malik Willis. I mean, it's hard to say that anything he did at Liberty is translatable. He's got an absolute hose, and he's a really good runner. He's the only person that you say, like, the upside of him is worth taking a chance on in the first round. If Carolina ends up taking one of these guys at number 3, it's just more evidence that they've completely tanked this team and they have no hope. I mean, if you take a quarterback at number 3, it has to be it has to be Malik Willis. Like there's no way that Kenny Pickett or Desmond Ridder or Sam Howell are coming in, starting as a rookie and elevating that roster to the point where they can be division winners.
To your knowledge, is Malik Willis throwing today?
As far as I know, everyone's throwing except for Matt Corral.
You're
That's
right.
the only one that I've seen saying they're not throwing.
We'll get more into this as we go through the morning because the quarterbacks are always, as you mentioned, to open the show, the sexy position of the NFL draft. And Patrick, I mean, if Matt Corral falls into the right situation, and I think that's all part of this, Matt Corral is the quarterback that I would say in this draft is the closest thing to being a success. But again, to me, it's got to be the right situation for him.
Yeah.
I
can see it with a lot of, I mean, Sam Howell's got a rocket arm and he's a good athlete. Like, would it stun me if he was put in a great position and excelled? Not really. I mean, I think he's got potential. They all have to be in a perfect scenario.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't say it has to be perfect, but like what we just talked about with the Panthers going through a ton of changes, that's not a good situation to end up in right now. And you can go to, there's a couple others. We'll get into some more mock drafts and continue talking about this. There's another mock draft that has Kenny Pickett going to the Panthers. We'll talk about that more with Patrick Perrette. Coming up at 7:30, Michael Bolin joins us. 8:40, Kerry Tharp joins us. And we got some Spencer Rattler audio that we'll get to, as well as your thoughts and opinions. It's the early game, the Thursday morning edition on 107.5 The Game. There's an article. That I will now be reading called It Could Happen Tomorrow. Experts know disaster upon disaster looms for West Coast. It's on the USA. It's on usatoday.com. If I have to pay for this, I'm going to be ticked off. Scientists say a massive quake could strike the San Francisco Bay Area at any moment. And when it does, the city can be expected to be slammed with a force equal to 100 atomic bombs.
100 atomic bombs.
Then it says have to subscribe.
So everyone's going to die.
It says, the headline says it could happen. Experts know a disaster upon disaster looms for the West Coast. I don't think I'll be moving out to the West Coast anytime soon.
If it's 100 atomic bombs, then everyone in California is going to die.
I'm reading. Scientists say a massive quake could strike the San Francisco Bay Area at any moment. And when it does, the city can expect to be slammed with a force equal to hundreds, not just 100, but hundreds of atomic bombs.
Interesting.
Are you saying this guy might be using a little bit of hyperbole?
He might be a hyperbole.
Did I say that morning that, we're back in Atlanta for the SEC Media Day? I think that was the morning I used hyperbole. Because, the night before had been rough.
Taco Bell toasted breakfast burritos look so good.
They actually do. Like, I just saw that and I was like, that doesn't look bad at all. Like,
I love Taco Bell breakfast.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Bailey Zappi stinks, Larry. I'm sorry. He's not good. He's good. He's a good college quarterback. He's a good mid-major college quarterback. Yeah. Ideally, Jason, I'm with you, but the problem is what the Niners gave up to get to number 3 last year for Trey Lance in a really good quarterback class. You're not getting anything close to that for this year's number 3 pick. There's just not that many blue chip guys. And without a quarterback to trade up for, nobody's really going to mortgage too much of their future to go out and get an offensive tackle or pass rusher. I really don't know who I'd give up 2 first-rounders for. Maybe Aiden Hutchinson, if that's all you need.
Oh, I gotta stop texting with Josh and cut this AAA spot.
Better hurry.
Really? Are we out of time?
I mean, you have
Jen, are we
less-
out of time?
you
I was
have-
too busy actually texting with the sales guy.
You have a minute.
We'll do it at 8 o'clock. It's only a 20-second spot, 25-second spot. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. But that's why I would say don't draft a quarterback. Just, I don't know, draft one of the tackles. They're good tackles. If you can get Evan Neal at number 3, why not? At least the quarterback next year will be protected. It is interesting, though. The trades are always interesting. Would you trade down 10 spots to just pick up another second-round pick? I don't know. I'm so fascinated by the texter, Richard.
What?
I'd love to have a face-to-face conversation with this guy, Richard, and just he's a guy. He's such a know-it-all on the text line. I just want to know what he's like.
Big Thursday morning as we roll into hour number 2. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen. The NFL Draft Combine starts today. The quarterbacks, the wide receivers, and the running backs. We'll let Patrick continue to talk about that. Kevin Harris is one of those guys that will go today, and we'll get Patrick's take on that. If
he does not play wide receiver or tight end or quarterback.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said running back, and you just nodded along. I said quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers, and I saw you nodding. So
wide receiver and tight ends.
So just wide receivers and tight ends. Okay, that makes more sense then.
Nick Muse will not be there.
But we'll get more into that because of the quarterback situation. Some differing opinions. Richard has put his vote down. We are write that one down. We've got Richard's phone number now. He says Sam Howell. Let me state it. Sam Howell will be a star. That one I can take to the bank. It's a Gamecock Larry-esque prediction right there. We're taking stuff to the bank. So that much we can. We've got it down. We've got Richard's phone number. We will keep that one. Richard, unfortunately, I tend to forget things about the second we walk out of here. So might ask you to keep up with that one in 4 or 5 years so we can get back to you. But
I want as many texters as possible to just send us a selfie.
No, please don't. Please don't. Please don't.
Please do, honestly. Just
you know
real
what?
Quick.
Wait till a day that I take off, and then that can be your topic.
I want to add avatars to everyone's text line
I see where you're going with
profile,
that,
and
yeah.
I'm also just intrigued what everybody looks like.
All right, yeah. 803-404-6100. Patrick Perrette there with requesting selfies on the text line, which is exactly why we got the text line, was so you could send us selfies. So we were forward thinking on that. Also this morning, we've been discussing college basketball as a whole. We'll catch up with Michael Boland here in about 30 minutes from CBS Sports to take a big picture look. South Carolina and Auburn, Patrick, this coming weekend. Auburn Needed overtime last night to get past Mississippi State, but they do that. Jabari Smith, fantastic again, 27 points, and Auburn outscores Mississippi State there 20-7 in overtime to take an 81-68 victory. That'll be the Gamecocks' next opponent this coming Saturday. And, that is one. It's like Alabama. I think what you would agree with me that last Friday we felt that the Alabama game was more of a must-have game because it was the better opportunity to get a win than the Auburn game. South Carolina could conceivably win the Auburn game.
It would be much better.
And it would look a lot better on the resume, and you would probably gladly trade that for the Alabama game if you had to pick one of the two. But we'll see what happens. Again, Auburn right now, 26-4, 14-3 in the conference, and they're rolling along.
Alabama, though, just proved why it's a coin toss what Alabama team you get. I think John Rothstein put it perfectly. His tweet last night is that they're the most Jekyll and Hyde team in college basketball. They can make a Final Four run, or they can lose by 20 in the round of 64. And that's pretty much right. I mean, when you shoot as many threes as they do and live and die by the long ball like that, there's just going to be nights where you're just not very good. And I think that's what happened. I didn't look at the three-point numbers, but just knowing Alabama, I'm going to guess that they weren't very good.
Alabama was 13 of 33 against South Carolina from three-point range. Last night, they were 8 of 24 from three-point range. Texas A&M was 7 of 16. And if you're wondering, Texas A&M outscored them in the second half 50-31. Texas A&M goes into Tuscaloosa last night and wins 87-71. The Aggies now 19-11. 19-11 overall, 8-9 in conference play. Alabama 19-11 overall, 9-8 in conference play. So that was your SEC action. There was one other SEC game last night, and it was actually a thriller. I thought it would be. LSU, who has been up and down all season, went into Bud Walton Arena, and Arkansas hits a last-second shot to win 77-76 over LSU. It was a fantastic game, 35-35 at halftime. It was the game that I got back from soccer practice and from Austin soccer practice, not my own. I'm 39. I've given up on the sports. I got back and watched the game, was watching most of it, and it was a great atmosphere. We talked about that. Bud Walton Arena, I think you asked Brian Edwards yesterday if it might be the best atmosphere in college in the SEC, and it's certainly up there. It was an incredible atmosphere. It was an incredible high-level game, a lot of incredible athletes going against each other. And I don't know what the biggest – I'll be honest, I didn't go back and even think to look. I don't know what the biggest lead in the game was. It was not more than – I would guess, if I had to ballpark, it was not more than 6 or 7 or 8 in that area. It was a very
LSU led by 7 at one point.
Okay. Yeah, it was a fantastic game, and it ended with a JD Note free throws there.
He's such a stud.
And Xavier Pinson had an opportunity to win the ball game and couldn't get it done. Fantastic game last night. 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in this morning. Richard makes a good point. He'll be at Windermere in a few weeks. Okay. There you go. He doesn't need to send a selfie. KT sends a picture of a guy eating.
I still want it for everybody's profiles.
I'm
trying to figure out how to add it to the profile.
Thank you. All right. We have ventured down a really bad path, Jen, on the text line. 803-404-6100. Let's go back into that quarterback discussion. Again, coming up at 7:30 this morning, Michael Boland with CBSSports.com will join us to break down some national college basketball and talk Georgetown and Maryland in particular, but also college basketball. But let's go back into that quarterback discussion. A mock draft here from CBS Sports being put up yesterday. This is from, let me give you the official person so that we can make fun of them, Chris Trapasso. Trapasso. Okay. Sounds good. You're familiar with that guy?
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Heard of him? All right.
It's not like one of the draft guys I follow or anything, but
gotcha.
I don't use CBS generally. I looked at their position rankings.
Righty.
Not fond of them.
Already off to a bad start with this mock draft. Number 1, he's got Jacksonville taking the North Carolina State offensive lineman.
Ekwonu. Yes. Such a mistake. Honestly, I think it would be just a tremendous mistake for Jacksonville to draft an offensive lineman in the first round. Might sound counterintuitive, and people love to follow narratives of, well, you drafted Trevor Lawrence, you got to build around him. They just drafted Walker Little from Stanford last year. Showed a little bit of promise at the end of the season. They've already got Jawan Taylor. They can be okay. To draft a road grading offensive lineman, because that's what Ike Ekwonu is, there's 3 big-time offensive tackles. It's Evan Neal, who's just the freakest of freak athletes at his size and athleticism. but doesn't do any one particular thing great. Ike Ekwonu, who is just insanely powerful and just mows people over in the run game. And then Charles Cross from Mississippi State, who's an incredible pass blocker, but doesn't do much else. People can't get around him. So there's 3 guys. None of them are that incredible. There's no like generational offensive lineman in this class. To do that instead of get an edge rusher who can actually change a game like Aiden Hutchinson, I think is just definitely the best player in the draft. I think it'd be just a huge mistake to try and do that.
They do have Aiden Hutchinson going second to Detroit. I guess that'd be
Detroit
cool.
they'd be doing cartwheels.
Yeah.
A homegrown kid. He's the son of, do you know who that is?
Yes, they did an article. They did a thing on
Steve Hutchinson.
Steve Hutchinson. Yeah,
Hall of Famer.
because they wore the same number, and then he broke his dad's sack record against Ohio State this past year, I believe, is what I saw.
His dad was an offensive lineman.
I thought his dad, because I don't know, I swore that they were doing some kind of piece on his dad, and his dad had a sack or something.
Yeah, his dad was a Hall of Fame offensive lineman.
I don't know what I was watching there. What it was a piece on the family because he grew up being a family. I can't remember. There was something about the sack record, and he got it, and his dad was excited, and I can't remember, but I thought because I was with you, I thought his dad was a long time Seattle Seahawk, right?
Seahawk, yep.
Okay, so I'm not crazy on that, but it was a game day piece. Texans with Kyle Hamilton, Jets. I think you would say the Jets would be pretty happy at 4 getting Evan Neal.
I would think so. I mean they just drafted Elijah Vera Tucker from Southern Cal last year, and the offensive line has been a problem. I would think that they'd probably be okay with that. I mean, you'd feel pretty good about Zach Wilson's protection there. At that point, they drafted Mekhi Becton, the absolute behemoth from. They would have the largest offensive line in football because both of their tackles would be 6'8", 360, basically. That's kind of cool, but would it change the complexion of their roster? Not really, in my opinion. I think they should try and get a receiver, maybe a corner.
The one that let me get to the 2 that are interesting to me here in this segment. Number 6, the Carolina Panthers. Kenny Pickett, the little write-up on this says Matt Rule loves adding players with whom he's already has a relationship with. The former Temple recruit lands in Carolina and will be primed to start week 1. Giddy up. I feel like that is
no shot.
There is just that's a poor write-up. That's bad research. I feel that if he'll start. And then number 8, I want to throw both of these in together with you. Number 8, and again, you've talked about the Matt Ryan situation in Atlanta and what they may or may not do. It has Malik Willis going to Atlanta with the number 8 pick, either as the future backup, or I say the future starter, or the
Chris Hutchinson is Aiden Hutchinson's dad, not Steve Hutchinson.
Thank you. Defensive end.
Looks like it. Yes. Just a different Michigan guy. Did they play at the same time? My mind is blown right now.
I am validated. I feel so much
validated.
Better about what I was talking about.
Validated.
I was like, hey, all right. I was like, I know I tend to enjoy a good Friday night, but I was pretty sure that his dad was a defensive end and there was a sack record, and I don't know his guy. He got it, and he's and then here comes his son, Aiden Hutchinson. He grew up in Michigan.
That doesn't even have a Wikipedia page.
Of course, he doesn't.
Why can't I find this? There it is. Yeah, Fish, 52 years old. Defensive tackle / outside linebacker. I don't know. He's both of those.
I appreciate
number 97.
I appreciate. I appreciate the 2 texters backing me up. I should have stayed on the text message longer. Real quick, Malik Willis to Atlanta. Kenny Pickett starting for. We'll get back in. I'll let you during the break do your research on Chris Hutchinson, but Malik Willis to Atlanta. Kenny Pickett. If this mock draft were to say hold up,
I just think all the quarterbacks stink, so it doesn't really matter. The Atlanta thing's interesting though. Super interesting situation there because I think they should just cut or trade Matt Ryan. And it would be the largest dead cap figure in NFL history. It'd be over $40 million. And it would be really hard to pill to swallow. Maybe the greatest quarterback in Falcons history, right? Am I right? Has to be, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to go through the role. I mean, Michael Vick. I mean,
how many years did he play there? 5?
Vick?
I don't know. I was so young. I feel like it was less than we would think. Because he was young when he went to jail. And he came back and still had another 5-year career.
He played 13 years in the NFL, and it did feel like he had another long. I'm looking it up.
Okay.
But no, it was about 7, 2001 to 2008.
Okay. But $40 million would be difficult to, but I just don't know. I don't know what the benefit of keeping Matt Ryan around for this year is. You're not competing for anything whatsoever. I mean, they're going to be bad. There's very few good pieces on that team. You got extra picks this year. I would say just trade Matt Ryan, just like I would say for the Panthers. Draft pieces, offensive line, pass rushers, whatever you need, and then just tank hard and hope that you end up near the top of the draft next year with CJ Stroud, Spencer Rattler, Bryce Young will be the number 1 pick next year probably. Well, actually, Will Anderson might be the number 1 pick, but Bryce Young will be the top quarterback. Wasting a top 10 pick on one of these quarterbacks, you're just playing with fire, and you're just not going to find anyone that's high on this QB class, or really any QB in particular. None of them are special. So I think it would be a mistake if you're a bad team to draft a quarterback this year.
803-404-6100, how you can join us. Thank you, many of you, for making me feel not as crazy that I had seen that Aiden Hutchinson's dad played defensive line, and just a slight slip up. Steve Hutchinson.
Yeah, my mind's blown.
Chris Hutchinson, you get it. There's a whole
I've
bunch.
been operating with this information for a couple weeks now.
That's okay. I tend to operate with the wrong information as well from time to time.
Is this true? Is Matt Ryan, the Tony Romo of Atlanta, gets blamed for everything and had a solid career? Do people blame Matt Ryan for everything? His name is Matty Ice.
It's a good question. It's a good question.
I don't think so. He won MVP.
It's not one that we're going to get into. I want to get into Spencer Rattler. We get some audio from him, but it is a conversation for another time because of what you just brought up. 803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
All right, it wasn't a buzzer beater, was it?
No, it was 2 free throws.
Oh, that was all it was.
Xavier Pinson missed the buzzer beater right here. Into the lane.
It's a good look. Whoa, come on, buddy. Didn't use the left hand. 28-3, Anthony. I feel like 28-3, the blame goes to Kyle Shanahan for taking the ball out of Matt Ryan's hands because they tried to get conservative and run the football. Larry, just quit being a party pooper. And I'm sorry, it's not a good take. Literally the entire game plan for Georgia was just make sure that Aiden Hutchinson doesn't beat us. And he still was able to impact a
Perfect.
football
We will
game.
do that. A lot of this. We'll get the most of this.
It's true. It's just kind of part of the position, I guess. So this guy's from DC?
He's
It
a
would
Carolina
appear-
guy. I'm not 100% sure where he's from.
Well, he's a South Carolina graduate.
He's up there now, though, to answer your question.
I don't know. He was tweeting about the Wizards and stuff too. I wonder if that's just because it's his job now.
He's
But
living in the DC area.
as the best, I mean, I'm sure probably a lot of people would say that. Did Mike Victon win an MVP? Did he? I wouldn't. Maybe he
I still
did.
got it right here. Let's see. No.
You said his last year was 2008 in
In
Atlanta.
Yeah, he was the 2010 Comeback Player of the Year. He's a 4-time
Yeah.
Pro Bowler.
I mean, I just don't remember enough of it. My Michael Vick most vivid memory is about playing with him in Madden because he was a cheat code. But yeah, I was 6 when he was drafted, so it's not vivid. There's a fun YouTube video. I think it's titled just Michael Vick every career 50-yard play. It's a fun video to watch. It was something along those lines. Also, the fake slide is my favorite Mike Vick play.
I still remember the Vick run against Florida State in the national championship game. I thought that was. Oh, I'd like to get into that. Well, there's too much sports talk to talk about.
That's why the NFL is the best. There's never a bad time to talk about the NFL. There is no off season.
Reminder coming up March 18th at the Windermere Club in Blythewood, 10 a.m. shotgun start. It is the 2022 1075 The Game Spring Open. Again, Friday, March 18th at the Windermere Club in Blythewood, 2-person teams, $200 per team, 2 persons, captain's choice. We'll have raffle prizes, closest to the pin, $1 million hole, sponsored by Buford Lending, plus breakfast and lunch. All entries get a free golf membership until March 31st. You can head over to 1075thegame.com for registration information. Again, it's the 2022 1075 The Game Spring Open being held Friday, March 18th at the Windermere Club in Blythewood. 803-404-6100, how you can join us this morning. You can go to youtube.com, search, click, subscribe to our live stream, the Buford Lending live stream. A lot of people on there this morning weighing in. Looks like, Patrick, you've been having a discussion about the NFL quarterbacks there, and we'll continue doing that. But let's talk a little South Carolina quarterback situation. Yesterday, Spencer Rattler meeting with the media. First time he's done it. And, Jen, let's play number 4. Here's a little bit of Spencer Rattler talking about how he thinks he can impact Marcus Satterfield's offensive system. You know, Patrick, you hear that with Spencer Rattler and what he says. I'm trying to think to a time when there has been more anticipation for a quarterback
Never.
at South Carolina. And I mean, can you think of, across the board, maybe Clemson with Trevor Lawrence nationally? Obviously, I don't know. Nationally is going to be curiosity for media across the board. You can already imagine game day doing a segment on Rattler and on the opening day when South Carolina goes to play Georgia State. The curiosity is going to be there. For South Carolina, there's going to be just simply the excitement. And I really have zero clue what to expect from him and in this system, because the system we saw this year was
well, that's the thing. We just had a week or two ago, we had the conversation of, can Spencer Rattler, what are the odds that he ends up being the number 1 pick, but South Carolina does not have a good season? And wouldn't that be the situation? Like, the offense is just poorly constructed and we see it. There's no creativity, or you decide to be creative at completely the wrong times and it blows up in your face, and there's just never any rhyme or reason to what's going on. But Spencer Rattler still makes a couple random special plays that only super elite throwers of the football can make, but ultimately it just doesn't mean enough and it doesn't translate to wins. I think that's probably the number 1 concern, right? Is you've finally got the guy, the trigger man, that's more talented than anyone that's ever played for this team, but you have an offensive coordinator that, to say people are not sold on, would be an understatement.
No, I mean, that's the $1 million question. And again, I think that how they utilize Spencer Rattler. Look, I do think that there are a lot of reasons you can question Marcus Satterfield and what the offensive system was this year, or what it wasn't, and the play calling and so forth and so on. I do think you do have to mention in the same breath, hey, they did play 3 quarterbacks in the regular season. 3 quarterbacks started, and one of them was a grad transfer who became a coach. One of them was an unproven freshman, a redshirt freshman, I guess, that really needs a lot more work. And one of them was a transfer from the FCS level. It's not like Marcus Satterfield. Luke Doty, I still think has a lot of potential, and he was a highly thought of recruit. But
he didn't go from Braxton Miller to JT Barrett to Cardale Jones.
Right. Yeah.
That wasn't his 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I think the problem is you see the game plans against Florida, even to an extent against Auburn, and then you see the game plan against North Carolina, and then you go, well, what was that against Tennessee to start the game? What was that against Clemson? Was it just the defenses? I don't know. Let's listen to a little bit more. Here is what Spencer Rattler had to say yesterday. Jen, let's play number 2. This is an interesting answer because Mike Uva of Gamecock Central asks about the video that's out there from Spencer Rattler on the QB1 show that he was a part of when he was in high school, where less than flattering. But here's Spencer Rattler's answer yesterday to Mike Uva's question.
What would you say to some of those people, maybe going back to the high school documentaries and whatnot about your character, and how have you been able to kind of just push that to the side? And what would you tell those people as well?
Yeah, a lot of people seem to forget that it's a reality TV show. And at that time I was 16, 17 years old, having fun with my buddies in high school. We all were that was our authentic self in high school, just joking around, having fun, competing. And I think people around sports who play sports, they see that competition side comes out of people in different ways. But my character is definitely not portrayed well in that show. But that's just, how it was made. I'm obviously, 5 years, 6 years, grown from that. And hopefully I've changed a little bit. I definitely have. So, I'm just a very competitive guy, very confident guy, and also a very caring person. So that's what I'd have to say just to those folks.
Again, that's Spencer Rattler from yesterday talking. We'll get in more into this. He's got Jen's got a bunch of cut-ups of him, some of it on earning respect of teammates. And again, we'll get back into how he can impact the system because, Patrick, April 16th, spring practice by itself will begin March 16th, 2 weeks from yesterday. April 16th, we now know it'll be a night spring game. I don't know how much they're going to show. I feel like it's going to be one of those things where we're all going to get hyped up over the next month and a half for the spring game. Oh, boy, Spencer Rattler. Yeah, let's all go out and tailgate and party. And then you go out and it's going to be like a bunch of handoffs to.
No, they have to have something up their sleeves. They can't hype it up this much and then let us down. That's not okay.
Okay.
I'm actually confident that they're going to have something up their sleeves, whether it's Darius Rucker playing in the middle of a play while Spencer Rattler throws a deep ball. He's singing Wagon Wheel, but it'll be something. Yeah.
Wagon Wheel. They're throwing
something.
A 50-yard ball. That would attract everybody's attention.
Actually, Hootie's writing a song for him.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
Darius.
Rattler Wheel.
There you go.
We'll get more into this as we roll along. It's interesting to see what the fan base will be when we just get to April 16th for the spring game. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Up next, Michael Bolin with CBS Sports.
107.5 The Game is omnipresent and free of charge. Free of charge. In your car. Free of charge. Online. Free of charge. On the app and streaming on your smart speaker. Free of charge. 107.5 The Game.
It is that time of the year where you start talking about spring practice, maybe getting out in the yard, throwing the football around with the kids, having a good time. Maybe you've already heard me talking about jumping in the pool, but if you've had issues with your joints, with ligaments, with tissue issues, well, it's time to call QC Kinetics this morning. Get a free consultation, 803-281-6860. That's how you can get in touch with QC Kinetics. Make this spring and summer the best ever with no joint pain holding you back. This is the relief you've been hoping for your aching hips, knees, shoulders, lower back. It is the unique protocols at QC Kinetics that were created by physicians with years of study in regenerative restorative medicine. It is the type of solution that you have been looking for. If you're wondering what I'm talking about and you want to give it a try, give them a phone call today. 803-281-6860 is how you can reach QC Kinetics. Again, it is a free phone call. Best part of all this, no surgery, no steroids, no drugs, no opioids, none of that, no downtime. Why not take a chance and let QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative solutions that can help restore and repair damaged tissue with no surgery, no drugs, take a chance and heal you. 803-281-6860. That's QC Kinetics.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center. Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
And we do have a few tie-ups that are really slowing things down out on the highways this morning. We are looking at an incident. I-20 eastbound at Bush River Road still could be a problem. Things slowing down in that area. Also, Bluff Road at Southern Drive, an accident. Highway 1 going towards Columbia, right there on that I-20 overpass. You're going to want to stay left. There is an accident there off to the right. And we are having a report that I-20 westbound there around mile marker 61. Part of the roadway is blocked there, so getting more information right now on that. So definitely a slowdown.
Yeah, he's awesome. Mike McDaniel. He's just funny. He's just goofy and funny, but also a genius. Oh.
He sent me a whole breakdown. He said, sent this to me Tuesday night. He said, had some time to kill before starting work. He does like stuff for CBS Sports. He does a lot of NBA, but then he's in charge of like doors on site. He said, Arkansas, Tennessee this weekend, South Carolina, Auburn. We talked about that. Alabama, LSU, Kentucky, Florida, ACC topics. He said we'll talk UNC Duke. And he also mentioned Caden Rice for Georgetown, who's from Columbia, broke Allen Iverson's single-season record for made three-pointers and queuing on the hot seat. And they'll be able to talk Maryland too. So,
yeah, not many people talking about Caden Rice breaking a record this year. Somehow not. I did not even know that, but
yeah, I broke it last night. He sent that to me, but I was scrolling through Twitter this morning and I happened to see it. This is for the. Did you see the thing about Colin Farrell? I kind of don't understand.
as the Penguin, yeah.
I'll bring it up on the live stream that. 7:37 on a Thursday, March the 3rd. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen. We have bounced around to multiple topics this morning. We have talked about the NFL Combine, the quarterbacks working out today, and Patrick Perrette is basically taking the rest of the day off. He's got some popcorn ready. He is fired up for that.
I've got my stopwatch so I can time everyone at home.
Good job. That's how you do it right there. That is excellent work on your behalf. So we'll continue talking about that. We've talked about Spencer Rattler, some comments he made yesterday, meeting with the media for the first time here in Columbia. We've talked a lot of college basketball, and joining us now to continue talking college basketball and give us more of a big picture. Michael Boland, good friend of mine who does some excellent work for CBS, joining us this morning. Michael, how you been doing? Welcome into the program.
I'm doing great. Thank you guys so much for having me on this morning.
Yeah, look forward to a couple things here. Let's get started. Big picture. Patrick and I opened the show and some news yesterday, kind of in your area of the world.
Rumors, not news.
Well,
Rumors.
let's start with the news that was Georgetown. And it looks like Georgetown is going to stick with Patrick Ewing for another year. And Michael, I've read a couple articles on this over the last few weeks because of the brotherhood of the Georgetown team that going into the past and everything that it is with Patrick Ewing. This is a kind of a bad situation where it's been a very bad year. It looks like they're going to go completely defeated in the Big East, and yet he's going to get another year. What are you kind of hearing up there as it pertains to Georgetown and Patrick Ewing?
Yeah, that's obviously a very, very interesting situation for anyone in the Big East or DC area. But yeah, basically everything that obviously he got the not always so welcome vote of confidence from the athletic director yesterday. But as you mentioned, they're very likely to go 0-20 in Big East play this year. So a lot of problems up there. I highly doubt that next year will be any better. It seems like they're going to have to make some very very, very major overhauls to the rest of the coaching staff in order to kind of fulfill exactly what the athletic department is hoping for in terms of giving him at least another year here. But obviously at the same time, they gave him an extension after winning the Big East title last year. So the way that seems is he's got at least 2 or 3 more years on his contract, which was expected to initially end after the end of next season. So basically what it boils down to is they gave him extra years because he won 4 games in March last year after a pretty underwhelming season, to be quite honest. So they have to kind of decide whether they wanted to eat that money or kind of let him come back. And obviously you never want to fire the greatest player to play for your program, but that's kind of a situation that they put themselves in after firing John Thompson Jr.'s son, and then obviously hiring Patrick Ewing after that. So it's a weird situation up there for Georgetown. They've kind of put themselves in the worst possible scenario after having fired John Thompson III, and obviously now Ewing having his struggles. But it's an ugly scene up there. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and it seems like if they just did not extend him last year, this would be such a fine situation. You just let him ride it out, say, I'm stepping down, I'm not going to coach anymore. I thought he was going to just say, I'm retiring this year so that he would spare them from having to fire the greatest player ever, like you said. But it's just a bad situation. You said they're not going to be much better next year. I mean, for people down here, I'm from DC, so I kind of have an idea, but what's making it so difficult for this team? Obviously, the academic standards are difficult there, and I've been to a Georgetown game at Capital One Arena. It's not a good environment for college basketball. I mean, what can they really do to turn that around?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, as you said, as much as people, complain about the atmosphere at CLA, yeah, the atmosphere at Capital One Arena is much worse, at least lately. Yeah, it's a tough spot. Obviously, you have the academic requirements, but at the same time, there's just been such and it really started at the end of the John Thompson III era, where local, obviously there's so much talent in the DC area, and the local AAU programs, the major high school programs, it just got to the point where they were going to stop sending guards to Georgetown. When obviously I live in Nashville, Tennessee now, but when I was in the DC area, something I would routinely hear from the AAU people in the area and things like that was, yeah, we'll send a forward to play for John Thompson III, but we're not going to send a guard there, because all it does, and obviously now it's different with Ewing with a different offense, but at the time, all it was you're not going to put these people in the position they need to be in to make it to the next level, as in professional basketball. So that really kind of put them behind the 8 ball, in my opinion. And now, obviously, with Ewing, it's been a little bit different. Obviously, the offense is different. They're not running the Princeton like John Thompson III used to do. But at the same time, you're still not seeing those local prospects coming to Georgetown. And you see it in Maryland as well. And one of the big reasons Mark Turgeon kind of decided to walk away when he did was because he had no success recruiting those local prospects. And it's something where, whether it's Ewing, who continues to figure this out and sticks for another number of years, or anyone who's next, that's going to be the one thing that they have to figure out if they want to be successful in that market.
He's Michael Boland joining us this morning. He is the senior editor for CBSSports.com. Is a DC native, very familiar with it, and does a lot of work with college basketball and the NBA. Let's transition to the other program you just mentioned. A lot of rumors about Rick Pitino in Maryland, but where do you see Maryland going with this coaching search? And do you think Pitino is a viable option or just a name that they would love to have?
I mean, Pitino's name keeps popping up. If you would ask me the same question 2 weeks ago, I probably wouldn't have given it as much, credence to the rumor as I probably would today, even though I still don't necessarily think Pitino is going to end up in Maryland. I would think maybe someone more like an Andy Enfield from Southern California would be a more likely option. But, at the same time, where there's smoke, there's fire, and you keep hearing Pitino connected with Maryland. If that's the route that they want to go, it would be definitely a swing for the fences type of move, because I don't know, obviously, given his age, how long Pitino would obviously be there, and whether he would just kind of be a stopgap hire between, the mess that was Mark Turgeon and whatever they're going to do after this. So, if Pitino is the way that they go, it would be a huge. Maryland would really be going for it, in my opinion, and I don't know if it would necessarily work out for him, but at the same time, if that's the way that they're going to go, then if you're going to swing big, right?
We got into it a little bit earlier this morning regarding his age. I wonder how he could recruit, given that he wouldn't be at Louisville and Kentucky with help from Merle Code and Adidas and Nike. There's a lot of things that I think would be very interesting with that. Let's move to the game of the weekend. If you can't pay the $3,000, Patrick, for the ticket,
$3,000 to get in the door.
$3,000 to walk in the door at Cameron Indoor. You can't pay for it. Is Duke, North Carolina on television a must-see event this weekend to catch Coach K's final home game at Cameron Indoor?
I think so, just because, obviously because of what you just mentioned with, Coach K doing his final game at Cameron, but at the same time, this game has some major, bubble tournament implications for North Carolina. Duke's going to be fine. Obviously, they're going to be right there in that 1 or 2 seed line. But UNC could really do a lot of service for themselves for getting a win this weekend if they can pull it off. And honestly, it's something that I really believe that they can do. Honestly, they have the pieces there in order to. Obviously, Duke kind of has like the three-headed freshman monster with Bonchero and Griffin and Trevor Keels. But, UNC has more than enough players available to them and more than enough talent on that roster to give Duke a run for their money at Cameron Indoor. And if they could get Armando Bacot, Brady Manick, Caleb Love and RJ Davis to really kind of put together the best versions of themselves on Saturday, there's no doubt in my mind that they can give Duke a run for their money. But if that doesn't happen, it's going to be very difficult for them, because obviously, between those 3 freshmen for Duke that I already named and Mark Williams, the big man in the center, they have a lot of firepower on their own, and you got to think at home, and especially in Coach K's final game at Cameron Indoor, they're going to be at their best.
About a minute and a half left with Michael Boland of CBS Sports. So before I let you out, South Carolina Auburn, probably a must-win for South Carolina this weekend to have a chance at the NCAA tournament. Maybe they can make a run in the SEC tournament. But your thoughts on the Gamecocks and the Tigers senior day down on the Plains?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup for South Carolina. You got Walker Kessler and Jabari Smith for Auburn. It's a very formidable front line for the Tigers and Bruce Pearl down there. And the front court necessarily hasn't been the best, point for South Carolina at this point. So this, obviously at the end of the season at this point, if they're going to, really give Auburn a run for their money, you got to get the best out of Keyshawn Bryant. You really got to get the best out of the rest of the bigs, kind of the triumvirate of centers that they kind of throw out there. Those guys really got to be playing at the top of their game. And then you got to have, the guards, basically the senior guards, Stevenson, Kuznard, and Reese. Those guys really got to play at the best of their abilities, shoot the ball well, and really defend at a high level, because it's going to be difficult going down there. Obviously, Auburn kind of had they got kind of pushed to their limit a little bit last night, so they're going to come into this game ready to play, and South Carolina just has no room for error at this point. Obviously, losing the game to Auburn really kind of put them to a point where they got to win this game against Auburn and then really make a run in Tampa if they want to make the SEC at the NCAA tournament. So it all starts on Saturday, and if they can get it done in those areas, maybe they have a chance to win, but it's going to be tough.
We'll look to get you back next week. Patrick wants to follow up with you on the Maryland situation.
Yeah, I would have loved to dive deeper.
Yeah, we'll get a look.
The DMV stuff.
I'll be in touch with you. We'll plan for next Wednesday to get you back, and also look at SEC and ACC tournament time. So I appreciate you joining us this morning, and hope you have a good weekend watching some good basketball.
All right, looking forward to it. Thanks again for having me on, guys.
Take care. He is Michael Boland of CBS Sports. He's the senior editor there. Does a great job covering both the NBA and college basketball. You can follow him at mboland, BOHLIN. CBS is the way to do that. We'll wrap up the second hour of the program when we return. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. So the big hullabaloo, I guess, for the Batman movie is Colin Farrell got, and I don't understand why this just came out, or maybe it came out. I just heard people talking about it Monday that he was all upset that what's the company that puts this one on? It's not Warner Brothers.
Yeah, DC is owned by Warner Brothers.
Okay, maybe it is.
Yeah.
They have a no smoking on screen rule now. So the Penguin could not smoke on screen, and he felt like it really took away from his portrayal of the Penguin.
Can't even smoke a cigar?
Apparently, there's a no smoking.
Ugh, that's stupid. I mean, I get it. I guess that there's a big push for this. I think Netflix is doing something, said that they were going to try and eliminate smoking, but it's just makes some people look cooler.
Yeah, Warner Brothers kept the character from smoking his trademark cigars.
Yeah, I mean, the Penguin has to be smoking a cigar. Did you watch the new Space Jam?
Did I watch what?
The new Space Jam?
No, I will refuse to watch.
Was the Danny DeVito character in that movie?
I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Smoking a cigar? Oh, no, because Don Cheadle was the bad guy.
Big thank you to Michael Bolin of CBS Sports for joining us there to talk a little college basketball. You heard what he said. Yeah, that's a good point, Patrick. For South Carolina to have a chance on Saturday down in Auburn, Wildens, Levesque, whoever else you want to throw down there in the post, Taquan Woodley, I don't. They're going to have to play their best game of the season.
I don't even know if it's that. I think Auburn just has to play terrible. I mean, Wildens, Levesque, and Taquan Woodley would have to play better than they're capable of playing.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to just light it up from three and hope Auburn misses every shot they take.
Also, some good information there on the Maryland basketball job and more. We'll continue talking about that. Get back into some Spencer Rattler audio and Kerry Tharp coming up at 8:40. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
don't know what we'll get back into, but I was thinking about the question of if you give everyone the same resources, who's the best coach? I actually thought of two that I think might be the answer.
Pretty
And
wide
we
open.
somehow didn't think of them. John and Camden.
We'll open with that. Yeah, we'll open with that topic, and because we'll bounce off of that and talk about the Maryland job.
We should have Carrie at
About 8:42. We'll break it about 8:40.
No one knows this hour.
Okay. Tomorrow we got Brian Jeffcoat and Chris Deering, and I might see if Michael Roth or it depends on how you feel about how much you want us to talk, or if you want me to get one more guest.
For tomorrow?
Yeah.
I don't care.
How many injuries do they? And I agree with Larry. Let's start with that again. How many times do they have to remake the Batman? Shouldn't they just made it like a kind of like a James Bond where the Batman's always fighting someone? Final hour of the Thursday episode. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen. Coming up at 8:40 this hour, about 8:43-ish to be exact, if you want to set your alarm clocks. Carrie Tharp will join us to talk about this weekend's trip to Las Vegas for the NASCAR boys. We'll get into that. Jen won last week. She has given me the updated standings. She is in first place with 8 points. I'm in second with 7. Carrie is in third with 5 points and pulling up the rear as he has actually every year. Reggie Anderson stinks at this.
Well, he also gets the last pick.
No, he's just bad.
He also gets the last pick.
I get the third pick.
Yeah.
And I finished first twice.
That very last pick just makes all the difference.
803-404-6100. Yes or no? Should we allow Reggie Anderson the first pick for the next several weeks? Just yes or no. We'll know what you're talking about. And I tell you what, second question. Do you even know who Reggie Anderson is? 803-404-6100. Yes.
That's just wrong.
Send in the thumbs up emoji if you know. We've already gotten selfies this morning. If you know who Reggie Anderson is, send in the thumbs up emoji. And if Reggie Anderson should get the first pick in our NASCAR pick'em, send in a yes or a no, because as I look at this, Reggie stinks. Actually, I'll tell you, he finished in 2019. Carrie finished fourth. Reggie finished third.
Okay.
Carrie was very bad in 2019, but he rebounded to win our NASCAR pick'em in 2020.
But if you look at the level of professional success that they both have had, it's definitely exponentially greater than your professional success. So if that's, if this is all you get to hang your hat on, you go for it.
You are the nicest person in the history of the world to suggest that Reggie Anderson has had professional success. Carrie Tharp, yes. Carrie Tharp's done a million different things and is extremely successful in life and has an incredible family and just the
salt of
the I don't know if Reggie Anderson has photos of you somewhere that we should be aware of. I don't know if you kicked his dog one time and you owe him a favor now. I'm not sure what just occurred with you backing up Reggie Anderson, but it was completely unnecessary and actually quite inappropriate for this program.
Really? You can't even say that without laughing.
Well, this is the same. Reggie Anderson's the same man who would have his child, Joshua, call up to radio programs that I've been on to make fun of me, to question my height.
Mm-hmm.
That man deserves no no warm feelings whatsoever out there. Like
Oh,
he,
I have a feeling some warm feelings are coming.
I mean, the guy goes to press conferences and takes pictures of Phil Kornblut and sends them to me just because Kornblut looks goofy and just looks lost with what's going on. And Reggie's just taking pictures of him. Yeah. All right. There's a bunch of you. I'll tally these in a second here. Matt says no idea who that is, but give him the first pick. Justin says no, do not give him, but he does know who Reggie is. Another anonymous texter says yes and gives the thumbs up. So we'll continue getting to these. Yes, another one. Some people are weighing that we should give Reggie the first pick. Now, that means he has to actually work. He cannot wait. I don't know when he normally sends the first pick, but
It depends.
that means he now has, if he's listening, which he's probably asleep. He's probably not working hard at all. That means he has 36 minutes to send you his pick. If he doesn't get it to you by 8:40, then he's to the back of the pack, and we'll try and give it to him next week.
Okay.
All right. 803-404-6100, how you can be a part of the program this morning. Big thank you to Michael Bolin for joining us in the previous segment. We'll get back into what he was talking about and a question we posed yesterday, a question we posed at the beginning of the segment, the beginning of the show in regards to college basketball coaches. I do want to mention, just because Jen got it up this morning, you can always go, anything you've missed, you can always go to our podcast page and check it out. Jen put up our interview yesterday with Kyle Thompson, and Kyle Thompson, former PGA golfer, who is now part of our weekly rotation. He's part of the family now.
I just thought of, there was the PIP thing happened yesterday with that Kyle Thompson thing. Just reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Did you see Phil's tweet?
Yeah, about being second in the
No, Phil tweeted, honored to be first place winner, and I'll think of something else.
thought he said second. Am I wrong? I thought, no, go back and look.
Because Tiger Woods tweeted oops, I thought. Unless
Tiger Woods tweeted whoops or oops or so, yeah. But I thought
in response to Phil saying, I won.
Oh, did he? I thought he said he was second. I saw the tweet, but
he said, I'd like to thank all the crazies and real supporters too for helping me win the PIP. To get the second half of the money, I have
to get
to
the second half of the money. That's what. Okay, that was the part of it. I got you.
And he said, P.S. I'll try to find another hot controversial topic soon. And then Tiger retweeted and said, whoops. Okay.
I bring that up because if you go back, Kyle Thompson, who again I enjoy having now as part of the early game family, and he'll be on again next Wednesday, and he gave some picks yesterday on the Arnold Palmer Invitational. He likes Will Zalatoris. Patrick, I don't know if it's too late for us to throw our money in on plus 28, plus 2,900 on Zalatoris. Kyle Thompson did, but you go back and hear the interview, and Kyle had some interesting insight into Bryson DeChambeau and Phil Mickelson and maybe their current standing with the PGA Tour. And I would encourage you to go to 1075thegame.com, click on the podcast tab at the top, and you can go back and you can hear any interview from any show that is on this station. But the one with Kyle Thompson, and Jen got it up this morning. She's tweeted it out. You can go to Jen Jensen Morse to check that out. I've retweeted it because it was really, really entertaining. And Kyle does a phenomenal job of keeping us updated. He talked about the course at Bay Hill yesterday. He talked about the guys involved. And again, he had a couple different picks. He mentioned Kevin Kisner. He mentioned Will Zalatoris. But you can go back and listen to that. Some really, really good stuff there as it pertained, I thought, to Phil Mickelson and Bryson DeChambeau. And Patrick, we had a lot going on yesterday because what he mentioned, and I'm going to veer off topic them as opposed to what I just told you for a second here, the potential that the PGA does not tell you who is suspended and who's not, and that maybe right now DeChambeau, who is healthy enough to play in a Pro-Am on Monday, but is not playing in the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill this weekend, and Mickelson now taking an indefinite leave of absence. Are they maybe on suspension for their involvement in the Saudi tour? That was a great question, and I think is a very legitimate question.
Yeah, double secret suspension for them. Yeah. I don't know, but also you can be healthy enough to play in a Pro-Am, but not the tournament. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised by that. I guess. I mean, just sending a message like, next time something like this comes up, don't mess with us. We're the only show in town. You know where your bread's buttered.
Okay,
I guess I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
I don't know enough about the like resentfulness, or I don't know how many times that's happened before. I've heard a couple stories, but I guess I wouldn't be surprised.
Just very interesting stuff. And again, you can go back and hear the interview, our segment with Kyle Thompson. Again, follow him on Twitter at Kyle Thompson PGA. Does a fantastic job.
I wish I could have asked about the PIP stuff because I was intrigued by a couple of things. Because the fact that Tiger won $8 million, I guess this all happened yesterday. Why was this all coming out yesterday? Why would this be the time that ended? The PIP thing, because Tiger didn't take a shot in 2021 and got $8 million for being the most popular golfer, which is fascinating. And I don't know if that's controversial. I mean, Kevin Na tweeted. I saw Kevin Na's tweet kind of went viral. And he said, "I'm all for paying Tiger Woods because he made us all richer, but he didn't hit one shot in 2021. So how is this possible?"
So here's what it was, I guess, if you go back and look, I guess Mickelson, this is according to Fox Sports. Tiger Woods yesterday, it says, and this is, I'll read you the article just to go back. It says, didn't play a single PGA Tour event last year, but just claimed the inaugural PIP, Player Impact Program Award, a competition which rewards players based on their ability to engage fans. After nabbing an $8 million prize, so Tiger Woods doesn't play in a golf tournament in 2021
exactly.
and makes $8 million. Woods took the opportunity to take a swipe at old rival Phil Mickelson, who finished second and pocketed $6 million. So it's not like Mickelson.
Do you have the whole top 10 in front of you?
I'll get to it here.
I saw Morikawa tweeted about being 11th. I think he was bummed about being 11th.
This is now, I don't know. This is again from Fox Sports. It says Mickelson in December prematurely tweeted that he had won the award despite it obviously having not been decided yet.
Because somebody did tweet that retweet that Tiger had was a 2-month-old tweet from Phil Mickelson.
Yeah, so that's what it was. So
what was he tweeting about controversially in December?
I don't know. Who knows? Mickelson is
I think I'm not a Phil fan anymore. Not that I was really a Phil fan, but I thought it was just kind of goofy and funny. I don't know. I think it might just be annoying.
So yeah, I don't know, but it's a weird little thing that they've got. McElroy finished third, followed by Jordan Spieth at fourth, Bryson DeChambeau at fifth, Justin Thomas sixth, Dustin Johnson seventh, Brooks Koepka eighth, John Rahm ninth, and Bubba Watson 10th. So that was yesterday.
Poor Colin Morikawa.
Got to be more engaged.
Dustin Johnson get in there. I mean, he's
got to be more engaging.
Great player, but he literally owes that money to Paulina.
Probably so.
Because he is so boring.
This is probably
that's actually
very, very true.
That's actually kind of amazing that Paulina does it show the slot how much money he made for being sixth place or whatever
I'd have to look it up.
That would be he needs to use that and take her and Wayne on a nice vacation.
Yeah. Chris says, was this a fan vote? No, this is based on how players can engage people. It's a criteria score, a compiled score from 5 criteria: Nielsen ratings, Google searches, MVP index, Meltwater mentions. I don't know what any of this is, and Q rating, which are all based on a player's appeal and social media popularity. That's how they decide. Those 5 things gave Tiger Woods $8 million last year and $6 million to Phil Mickelson in second place. Those 5 things are how they were able to pocket that amount of money. So anyway, Anonymous 6 said Mickelson had put out a tweet in December asking a question about COVID that was controversial. So that was his. Yeah, Mickelson's. We'll see here that. 803-404-6100. Justin says someone needs to recognize and acknowledge that Patrick just said they are the bread's butter.
That's not what I said.
So don't. But they said, yeah, you know where your bread is buttered. I think is what you said. So don't mess with us. Getting more and more Southern by the day. Good job.
What
is that? Is it a Southern thing?
No.
Where your bread is buttered?
No.
Okay. Yeah. 803-40.
I've already said this. People saying things that aren't Southern or Southern is my pet peeve about Southerners. I feel like I'm one of you now. I've lived here for 7 years. My family all lives here in this state, but you're not the only people that butter bread, if that's what the insinuation was.
Now all I can do is think of the Wolf of Wall Street scene where they're chanting at the table, one of us. 803-404-6100. John in Camden puts us back on Sports Talk. He says he just got in the car coming off of the Maryland topic. When you come back on, could you repeat it real quick? I missed what y'all were talking about. We were talking about the basketball search. And in hour number 1, I asked Patrick some rumors now starting to circulate both in the DC market and on the internet, that Rick Pitino is the target. And that wouldn't be a huge that wouldn't in itself be a huge thing. Like, yeah, I get Rick Pitino maybe being the most sought after coach currently in the country. He's at Iona. He's only making about $1 million. He's got 2 national championships, one of which has been vacated. Nobody really can. We all now realize that in the NCAA basketball world, you can basically do whatever you please, and as long as you win, you get to maintain your job. Sean Miller has not been fired from Arizona because of wiretaps with DeAndre Ayton. He was fired because Arizona had plateaued and was not doing very well at the game of college basketball. It had nothing to do with any kind of cheating scandal. Bill Self is still employed. Will Wade is still employed. People that were far more involved. With that being said, Patrick and I got into a discussion. You got a blank check. You got a blank check. You can write it to any basketball coach in the country and get any college basketball coach in the country. Patrick, you said as you thought about it over the last hour and a half, 2 names popped into your head.
Yeah, because someone texted in Scott Drew, and I was thinking that's a pretty good idea. So I was thinking about national championship winning coaches, and I was like, oh, duh, Jay Wright. And arguably, maybe Tony Bennett. I don't know. They haven't been very good this year, but if you want somebody that focuses on defense, I think everyone likes and respects Tony Bennett, but Jay Wright, I think, might be the best coach in college basketball, and just refuses to leave Villanova because he's a Philly guy, and the NBA comes calling for him every single year, and he'd only probably leave for the Sixers job because he just loves Philadelphia. But Jay Wright's probably the most underappreciated coach in the country.
Do we have in the NFL? Let me go through a couple of these. NBA. Do you have just right now in the game an absolute best coach?
It might. Well, Greg Popovich is
I would
the Belichick of the NBA.
I would think that. I know that they've struggled.
Outside of that, I think it's Spoelstra.
Yeah, give my guy Spoelstra.
Isn't he the next longest tenured?
Yeah, he is. And he's done really well, even when they have not given him.
They're
the
not.
pieces to work
They're
with.
not the most talented team in the East, but they're first.
Lost
place.
last night to the Bucks by a point. NFL, Belichick.
Yeah,
Belichick. Major League Baseball. I know that nobody cares about Major League Baseball anymore. Can you even name 5 managers?
No.
The reason I bring this up, it feels like we talk about parity in college basketball. And when I ask, okay, because like college football, if you say, hey, I'm giving you a blank check, you can write it for anybody you want. 90% of the vote, 98% of the vote, 2% up in the upstate of South Carolina will say Dabo, but 98% would say Nick Saban, right?
Yes.
Like it's almost not even a question. Even at 70 years of age, everybody would say, you give me a blank check, I'm going to hire Nick Saban. College basketball, I don't know. Jay Wright's a great answer. That's a really good answer. I don't know if I would say Tony Bennett. I still might say Chris Beard, who is now at Texas, ahead of him because of what he built at Texas Tech. I know they got plastered last night, but some people might go because of his ability to recruit. Some people might go Nate Oates at Alabama, who's a rising star in the industry. And we've mentioned a couple times, might be in line for the Maryland job. Louisville is a program who might go after Nate Oates. We'll see. Alabama's trying to build him a nice new basketball facility. I don't know who the coach is in college. Jay Wright's a great one. Didn't even think of him. I don't know who the coach in college basketball is. Mark Few. Maybe some of you out there are screaming at your radio saying Mark Few and what he's done at Gonzaga. I don't know. I'm kind of interested to know who would be.
I mean, would it have been Coach K? Probably before he was going to retire. Is he not basically the equivalent of Nick Saban? We asked the question yesterday: is he hands down the greatest college basketball coach, like Nick Saban is hands down the greatest college football coach? And I think we determined the answer is no, because they're still John Wooden, but nobody's really debating that Nick Saban's the greatest coach in college football history right now, are they?
No.
I think it's pretty much a lock at this point.
Yeah, that's without. To go through, Greg says, how about Mark Few? I agree with that. Don't have a name on this one. Anonymous texter says, if Coach K was not retiring, I think the answer would clearly be him for college basketball. Elwood says a name that I kind of agree with, Bruce Pearl. Thomas doesn't understand the question at all. He says he's been told numerous times that Pitino would not leave Iona. We did say that. I don't think he's going to leave Iona.
I don't think we said that when we reset the topic. But Maryland, the rumor is that Maryland wants him.
Yeah.
There's no indication that he would consider.
I don't know if he would or not. Again, he's got his family around him. I've talked to one of his right-hand people a good bit over the last few months, just keeping up with college basketball. And one of the guys who was very, very close with him at Louisville, who is, I don't think, allowed to coach college basketball anymore, but still keeps in touch with him, does not think that he will leave Iona. But Maryland is a prestigious job. We think it's a top 10 to top 20 job. And we'll kind of see if that's maybe a job. It would be interesting. And I think that, as you pointed out, the thing that would kind of stink about it if he went to Maryland is not seeing him in the ACC.
Yeah.
That would kind of be what I would absolutely hate about it. I'd rather see him in the ACC. The Big Ten would be fun, but I don't know.
It's just 70, so annoying.
It's 70 years of age.
Is in the ACC and Maryland's in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
So
I can see that grinds your gears. I do also think with Pitino not having the help of Merle Code and Adidas and Nike as his recruiters would be very, very interesting. Knowing some of the things I know, Pitino's an incredible X's and O's coach.
Yeah.
But it's different doing it at Iona as opposed to doing it at Maryland, where you're having to go against some elite level talent. And Pitino has benefited from Nike and Adidas. Maybe John Calipari and Mike Krzyzewski might be the only other two coaches in the country I would say have benefited more from their relationships with
Nike
or Adidas than anybody else.
But I don't know. Maybe, I mean, Maryland fans think that it's an advantage having Under Armour because they are the Under Armour school. The Under Armour was founded at the University of Maryland.
They got Diamond Stone because of it.
Yeah. But there's guys that they've missed on. Like they were supposed to have the Harrison twins.
Right. That was Kentucky.
Yeah. They were supposed to be Maryland Locks, and that was exactly the reason why. So maybe Rick Pitino is the guy that figures out how to correctly leverage Kevin Plank. I don't know, but it's not the advantage that Maryland fans have always thought it was.
803-404-6100. Yeah, interesting times in college basketball as we wrap up the regular season, move toward conference tournament time. Again, the one thing maybe if you want to keep an eye on today in regards to conference tournaments, it would be on the women's side. Missouri and Arkansas play in the SEC women's tournament. The winner will get South Carolina tomorrow in the SEC tournament. And I feel like most of you are pulling for Missouri. You don't pull for Missouri very often, but I feel like many of you might be pulling for Missouri to beat Arkansas in the women's tournament later today so that South Carolina can get a hold of them tomorrow in the SEC tournament up in Nashville. So we'll continue keeping an eye on that. We'll get more into Spencer Rattler and his comments yesterday. Kerry Tharp coming up in about 20 minutes. Just a reminder, that Arkansas-Missouri game, by the way, is at 1 o'clock on the SEC Network. Noon is what it's listed, noon Central, so 1 o'clock our time. 803-404-6100. I see some of you weighing in. We'll continue some basketball discussion, and we'll get back into the Spencer Rattler comments from yesterday as well. You're listening to The Early Game on 107.5 The Game. Talking about the big basketball month that we're in might include some big basketball watch parties that you're going to have. But if your house is dirty, you don't really want to have people over, do you? I mean, are you that person that likes to have people over to a dirty home? Don't do that. Don't be that person. Have them over to a clean home. Call Zero Res today. 803-262-4020. Get Zero Res out to your house with their patented ZR water technology. It is electrolyzed oxidative water that cleans better than a detergent, but doesn't leave behind those sticky, soapy residues. Plus, your carpets and other surfaces will stay cleaner longer. You can have multiple watch parties. How about that? Multiple nights, all because of Zero Res. And when you call Zero Res right now, you can get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for just $109. Plus, when you mention me, Bill Gunner, and 107.5 The Game, you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. It is the spring cleaning sale going on with Zero Res. 803-262-4020. You can schedule a line, ZeroRes, Com. Again, it is the month of watch parties for a big basketball tournament that occurs each and every March. You want your house to be clean. 3 rooms of carpet clean for $109 right now. When you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, you'll get that hallway cleaned for free. So again, 803-262-4020 or schedule online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Zerorez, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. Jim, I've been there for some interactions between Merle and Rick Pitino. He was using Merle code when Merle code went to Adidas. I've been there. Like, Merle code went to Adidas from Nike during Pitino's stint at Louisville. That's not, Merle code was a big part of Pitino's. Merle code was the one that brokered the Brian Bowen deal. And I like Merle. And I almost went to work for Merle. And then almost went to jail because I would have done a lot of that stuff. But no, it's like, Pitino's a good X's and O's coach. Nobody's arguing that, but that's like, and Code was with Nike. Do I know when Code started with Nike?
Travis, did you see Kanye's new girlfriend? Bill, have you seen Kanye's new girlfriend?
I did not. Not TMZ'd that.
Well, look her up.
I don't even know. I think it's just been how you would say talks. You can honestly just what I tweeted. If you go back and just kind of edit it just a tad, where he tweeted about how he was happy to be with us, and I just said something about Georgetown Falls, Louisville's where I think thoughts on Georgetown, Patrick Ewing, Maryland basketball situation, UNC Duke, and Carolina Auburn.
All right. No, I want to see if people can see this.
Who is that?
Who does it look like?
Iggy Azalea?
No, it looks like Kim Kardashian.
Oh, okay.
That's the point. His new girlfriend looks exactly like Kim Kardashian.
You got that kind of money, I guess.
And all around, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Cheney Jones, if you want to look her up. It's interesting what Kanye's doing. I'll just say.
I do agree with Trey that was the weirdest argument is Kanye and Pete Davidson. And Jim, I'm not saying he's a bad coach like X's and O's guy.
Absurd.
That's not safe for the 9 o'clock live stream.
I mean, it's
where did
not
you find that? Can you Google it? I
dangerous.
guess
You
you
just
just Google
Googled-
whatever Patrick just showed me where I
her name's
stuttered.
Cheney Jones. Chaney. Cheney Jones.
Jenny
Cheney.
Cheney.
Chaney.
Okay.
Why is everyone leaving the live stream?
Huh?
Just kidding. Everyone's Googling her and then leaving the live stream.
Oh, is that they don't know how to open another tab?
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
No, but I think she's like 24. So he just literally, they split up and he's dating a 24-year-old that looks like a young Kim. Yeah, looks just like him.
Okay, I don't feel so stupid now. Yesterday, I swore Debbie Antonelli told me she was going to the ACC women's tournament in Greensboro. And so I was like, all right, yesterday I was like, you're on your way to Green, because she said she'd be driving. And I was like, so you're on your way to Greensboro? And she was like, well, I'm going to cover Duke, North Carolina. Or she said something to Duke. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
did I get that wrong? And so she just put up, she's like, once in a while, it's good to take a scenic route from Blacksburg, VA to the ACC women's tournament in Greensboro. Troy, I might actually bring that up. Just like we talk about Frank Martin, but yeah, Brunell, if Clemson's going to make a move at the end of this year, because I wonder if that new athletic director, he's been there, so he's familiar with what's going on. It's not like he's got to come in and. What we're talking about on the radio, entirely different than what we're talking about on the live stream. There's some Kanye West discussion going on the live stream, and if you weren't a part of that, well, you missed some interesting discussion. That's for sure. You can always go to our live stream. Go to youtube.com, search 1075 The Game, click and subscribe. We beg of you to subscribe. We get nothing financially out of it. We just ask that you go and subscribe and push our subscriber count up so that we can brag to our friends about how many people are subscribed to our YouTube page. That's really all we're doing on that one. But if you want to go and do that, be a part of it. Rick, Troy, Craig, Travis, RL, they're all aware as the live stream discussion turned into a who exactly is Kanye West dating discussion. So you can go and be a part of that chat room as well. 803-404-6100. In the last segment, we were discussing the basketball coaching situation as it pertains to kind of national and who you would go out and hire. Thomas did say he would write a blank check to Brad Stevens, which is who I said, but we were discussing college coach. I think you're right. I think Brad Stevens is the most, would you agree, maybe the most in-demand coach?
I would think so.
Regardless, NBA and college.
Yes.
But I kind of with him. I think taking the GM route and getting off of the bench and being able to do that is
Cashing
probably
giant checks for doing very little work.
Must be very, very nice. Brad Stevens is living the life. But the bottom line there is, Brad Stevens would be the guy. But if you had to go and write a blank check for anybody in college basketball, who exactly would it be? 803-404-6100, how you can join us. If you want to weigh back in on that topic, you can do so on the text line, or you can give us a phone call as well. Yesterday, Spencer Rattler meeting with the South Carolina media for the first time. Jen, let's play number 3. Spencer Rattler talking about how South Carolina feels like an NFL environment.
You know, what's impressive about this place, I just think how it's ran. It's ran like an NFL type of facility. I mean, it's a lot of people would be surprised. It's different from where I'm coming from. It's more, I feel like it's more around the players to where, guys aren't burnt out. Guys are enjoying their time in the facility, enjoying their time around the coaches and players. And it's just a great feeling. It's a refreshing feeling.
Patrick, we've talked a lot about the attitude around the program the day Will Muschamp left, the job that Shane Beamer had last year to change kind of the culture within the within the practice facility over there, the weight room, and he's done that. It's not that I expect Spencer Rattler to come in and be like, "Oh, Oklahoma was great, absolutely phenomenal." Like, he transferred there from a reason, and let's be honest, he talked yesterday a little bit about like, "Hey, I did everything I could last year. I thought I did well, but it just didn't go my way." But I think if you're a South Carolina fan, it continues to reemphasize that it seems like Shane Beamer has completely changed the culture in 1 year.
Yeah, but for him to say NFL, like, that's not the vibe I get whatsoever from the Shane Beamer culture, because you're not going to find an NFL organization that says our foundation is built on love.
True.
No, it's a business. It's very much a business, and that's not what it feels like around the South Carolina program. And you look on social media, they're all having a great time. It doesn't feel like what the NFL vibe is. I mean, I was meant to watch in one of our breaks the cooking video they put out yesterday. I haven't got the chance to watch that. They did a little make a game of Chopped, it looks like, and I've enjoyed watching those cooking videos that they put out last week too. But yeah, I mean, it's a very welcoming environment. So I don't necessarily disagree, or I'm not going to dispute what he's saying that it feels like that, but that's not at all the vibe I've gotten.
I think what is an NFL environment?
All business.
Okay, so that would be the Will Muschamp environment. Then is what you were saying.
Oh, I for sure think that Will Muschamp tried to run an NFL-like program. Yeah.
Which would be the Nick Saban philosophy, where you have a lot of them. You have a lot of guys who are probably going to go.
They've got experience in the NFL. Nick Saban had lots of experience in the NFL. Will Muschamp has experience in the NFL. So I think that's what they do.
Let's hear again, Jen. Yesterday, I think this is the big question here. Yesterday, Spencer Rattler talking about how he can impact Marcus Satterfield's offensive system, because, Patrick, we've talked about this, kind of what you expect from him. Here's Spencer Rattler talking about how he can impact the Marcus Satterfield offensive system. 4, sorry.
From what I've seen this first month here, obviously I'm still soaking everything in, still learning a lot of stuff. The system's really good if you're in the pocket and can deliver the ball. You know, that's what Coach Satterfield says. If we can get a controlled pass game going, it'll be hard to stop us. So that's what we're working on right now. Just getting that timing down with the receivers, running backs, tight ends, everybody. And not just me, but every other quarterback's doing the same. We're all competing hard every day. And I think, my skill set of being able to get out of the pocket and create for other guys on the field will definitely enhance this system, hopefully a little bit more.
It'll be interesting to see. Patrick, his wide receivers are going to have to step up. Josh Vann, if Dakereon Joyner's a part of that group, or whatever Dakereon Joyner is doing for the offense this year. Juice Wells is a guy that I've heard good things about. They've put out some social media videos of him, but I think you want to see him prove it on the field before we start hyping him. The one guy that I'm very interested to see, again, because he had a good bowl game and maybe they started to find a way to use him, is our Marion Brown. The speed is there. He's not going to be a physical wide receiver, but it gives Spencer Rattler another option. And then you look at the tight end position. I don't know, whatever Jaheim Bell is, tight end wide receiver, and Austin Stogner will be a big piece of that. There's going to be people to throw passes to. They're going to Josh Vann and Stogner are proven college commodity, and Jaheim Bell are proven college commodities. That's 3. The rest, you hope, can kind of step up and show what they can do as a wide receiver or tight end.
And maybe in just like an ancillary role, you don't really need too much of them. But like you mentioned, Marion Brown, if you're getting big numbers from Stogner and Bell and Vann and they're doing what you expect, you don't need him out there catching 7 balls a game. Just every once in a while, when the defense is sleeping or something, Marion Brown can get over the top for Spencer Rattler to deliver him a deep ball. Like, that's fine. If he averages 2 catches a game, you're cool with that. And you kind of want there to be a go-to option, I would think. I mean, if Jaheim Bell is primed to have the season that it feels like he's primed to have, you're not going to be dishing the ball around too much. I mean, you got 3 really good targets, 3 guys that are NFL players. Vann, Bell, Stogner are NFL players. You don't need too much more around them. I mean, you want to spread the love, but at the same time, you got beasts. You want to feed them.
Can you answer RL's question on our Buford Lending live stream? Because I think it's a good question. What did he mean by controlled passing game? Because I've heard that. I heard that last night. I heard it again when we played it the first time this morning, and I hear it again. And It's a great question. I don't know, like, what is a controlled passing game? To me, that
In
feels like more of
rhythm?
a short passing game, moving the ball with 7 to 8 yard passes, hoping a guy can break one, as opposed to taking deep shot after deep shot after deep shot. More of a Lincoln Riley system, I feel like.
Possible. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I mean, the first thing that came to my mind was just not breaking the pocket, getting the ball out in rhythm, and just running the offense as it's designed, and not trying too much to freestyle, like just a pure pocket passer. But it could mean any number of things. It could just be a generic coach speak word that he says it, and we all say, "Oh yeah, we do need to have a controlled passing game." You're right.
One other question, and Jen, let's play this one, final one before we hit the break here. Number 6. I think this is an interesting question, especially with name, image, likeness that is out there now. And Spencer Rattler certainly coming in as a mega name who has not played a down. Talking about earning the respect of his teammates.
I think with the transfer world now, a lot of guys transfer to new schools and, kind of have to earn that respect quick. And me coming in a month ago, a little later than the other guys, I feel like so far I've done a great job with just showing on my work ethic every day in workouts. If it's putting a throwing session together with the receivers, just chopping it up with the guys, getting close with the O-line, doing small things with them. I feel like earning that respect comes just from work. Not a lot of talking, just a lot of working, but that leadership will come around, and I feel like so far it's been pretty smooth.
Here's what's coming up on the next Extra Point.
Hey guys, Pearson Fowler of the Extra Point here for you. Coming up on the Thursday Extra Point, we'll continue to get you ready for the South Carolina men's basketball season finale against Auburn, and the women gearing up for the SEC tournament, plus a lot of football sound as some of the newcomers got a chance to speak to the media for the first time.
The Extra Point with Pearson, Preston, and Gamecock Central. 9 a.m. to noon on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. 107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center. Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
And things beginning to move a little bit better on I-20 eastbound, where we had that earlier accident. Actually, that was I-20 westbound. So we'll begin again. Things moving a little bit better on I-20 westbound, about a mile west of Bush River Road. Traffic is starting to flow a little bit better now that they're getting that accident cleared. Also, a few other tie-ups to let you know about. Two Notch Road at Fontaine. Also, Wilson Boulevard at Jenkins Brothers Road. Hardscrabble Road at Quinton Lane. I-20 eastbound at 277 still could have a problem there, as well as Kennerly at Hollingshed and Fish Hatchery Road at Glen Road. 84 for the high today, 68 tomorrow, and then 80 for Saturday. It is 49 right now at 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Sylvania. On dark, foggy roads, do your fog lights provide the visibility you need? Upgrade to LEDs from Sylvania, the leader in automotive lighting. Experience how advanced optical design leads to superior down-road clarity. Visit the Sylvania website to find your LED bulbs today.
With approved credit, call 888-411-7640 for details. Zip zero nada. That's how many cars JT wants left on the lot at Dodge Land on Greystone. JT has to sell more to get more cars from the factory, so no reasonable offer will be refused. We've got the biggest selection in town and we're marking them down. No reasonable offer refused during Ram Truck Month. Get brand new 2022 Dodge Rams, Chargers, and Challengers. And nobody pays more for your trade than JT. So rush to Dodge Land on Greystone, jtsdodge.com.
Are you tired of looking at your lawn and seeing ugly weeds? Hey, this is Paul Romanstein, proud owner of Midlands Landscape. Let us take care of those pesky weeds and make your lawn healthy and green. Our trained technicians use a proven program with years of success. We care about developing trusted relationships, which is why you will see the same technician every service. At Midlands Landscape, we guarantee 100% satisfaction. Call Midlands Landscape today, 803-356-8080. 80.
Dang it. That's incredibly unfortunate that story did not just make it onto the live stream.
Yeah, y'all missed. Well, they might have heard you a little bit. Yeah, Patrick's Staten Island ferry stories. Staten Island ferry. So we were talking about Pete Davidson.
Yeah, Pete Davidson doing a comedy thing on the Staten Island ferry.
You can repeat the story.
Quickly, the story was that I went to college on Staten Island for a year. We would go out in the city. We'd have to take the Staten Island ferry in, as the Staten Island ferry runs every 30 minutes, so it's very convenient. But at the end of the night, in, I guess, early morning, late night, it comes every hour. So there were several nights where we would run to the ferry. The bar would close at 2 or whatever. We'd get a cab back to the ferry, and come running through the doors at 2:31, watching the ferry pull away. Then we had to lay on the floor or bench at the Staten Island ferry for an hour, waiting for the next ferry. Then get home at 4 a.m., tired, hungover, and having ridden a boat, which doesn't make you feel good either. So, yeah, a lot of memories in the Staten Island ferry. But taking the ferry over, you can buy beer on the ferry, and they have like $4 tall boys. It's the perfect amount of time to ride the ferry across.
4 o'clock?
No, a $4 tall boy
Oh.
in a 20-minute ride. It's the perfect amount.
That actually, I mean,
it always timed out perfectly.
they were trying to figure out where exactly to park the ferry.
They're huge. What? I guess you can't just let it float forever.
No, they can't keep it parked where it's at.
Where is it?
I don't know. Somewhere.
I was just thinking,
Might still be in the state. It might still be where it was.
I mean, can you just drop an anchor and just leave it in the water forever?
I mean, that's.
I don't really know the rules.
They want to find a place where they can
dock it. I mean, I don't know where they would load up the people. Unfortunately, a lot of the real estate in New York City is taken.
Well, no, I don't. They're not trying to take it out of the water.
No, but you need to have it somewhere that people can get on and off.
Oh, yeah, no, that's what they're trying to find.
Yeah.
My phone updated during the night, and now it's got like that new Apple updated, so all these things. Probably just put something up on my phone. It's like our salespeople don't even pay attention to our show. I hope the one sales guy I'm talking about is watching right now and not texting instead of texting me. All right. Want to remind you, I mean, if you need reminding, I don't know what to tell you, but there's a baseball series this weekend, South Carolina and Clemson. And on Saturday, Sound and Images and 107.5 The Game will be at Battle of Bull Street from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, broadcasting live from the 2022 Clemson-Carolina baseball game at Segra Park. There is a fan fest. Good news, it is free and open to the public. You can stop by and say hello. Again, Sound and Images and 107.5 The Game hanging out, broadcasting at the Battle of Bull Street this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. We'll be there live before the Carolina-Clemson baseball game at Segra Park. And again, Fan Fest this weekend. You can get over and check that out, open to the public. Stop by and say hello to, I don't know who we got going out there. You want to ballpark it?
Terry will be out there.
Terry will be out there. All right. Yeah, there you go. And some other people.
Tommy will be in the vicinity.
Tommy will be around. Yeah, Tommy with lots of baseball knowledge. Speaking of knowledgeable people, which is what we like to have on this program, because Lord knows
You're lacking.
I was going to say, if you hear us, you really question what our knowledge is in. We go to a knowledgeable person, Carrie Tharp, president of Darlington Raceway. You know what? You're on the program right now, so you're the most knowledgeable person on the program that we like to have. Why not? How you doing this morning, young man?
I'm doing great. How's it going down there?
We're good. We're good. You've been around for some of these baseball series, and just having to deal with some of the things that go along with it. Got any special memories of just your time around South Carolina and just the athletics department as they got ready for the South Carolina? They didn't have the series when you were here, right? They were still the 2-game weekend and the non-conference, and then the weekend game or the week games during the season.
Yeah, they didn't have the series like they do now, which I think is pretty cool for them to rotate around and play at different, not only home and home, but different places in the state. But when I think of Carolina Clemson baseball, I mean, it's two of the top programs ever. And to have them here in the state of South Carolina is cool. I guess the competition that I recall the most between Carolina Clemson baseball was when we were in Omaha, I guess for the first time ever. I think it was in 2002, maybe 2002, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. We were out there and had to beat Clemson twice to get to, I guess, to the finals, and we were able to do that. And that was certainly a lot of fun to be able to do that with your backs to the wall to beat them. But they got a great program. We got a great program, so it should be a good weekend of baseball.
Should be a lot of fun. Also this weekend, we move on to Las Vegas, the Pennzoil 400 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Carrie, last weekend, Jen figures things out. She picks Kyle Larson, and lo and behold, he wins. It was kind of a crazy race, but you look back, you and Jen, y'all look back on last week, and what was y'all's takeaway?
Well, I thought it was an excellent race. Hadn't raced out in California in 2 years due to the pandemic. I thought the new car performed well. There were some spin outs. There were some accidents. There were some teammates even spinning out one another. At the end of the day, Kyle Larson was the better car and the better team. But I thought all in all, it was a very exciting race out there in California. The crowd was good, and I think it just goes to show early momentum in NASCAR is pretty strong right now.
Absolutely. I don't know. You think Larson took out Chase?
Well, I'm not sure if he took him out. I know he didn't do it on purpose.
No.
I saw where his spotter took
credit.
The hit, took the blame there. But I'm sure that meeting that they had at Hendrick Motorsports Monday was a little tense, probably
Spirited,
more
maybe.
than
Right.
necessary. I don't know if you heard the radio communication from the 9 car after that happened, but we couldn't play it on your program because obviously we're a family program. But he was not happy when that happened. That's for sure.
Both of you, we'll start, Jen, with you. We're now 2 races in, not counting the Busch Clash out in Los Angeles, but 2 races in. What have you expected? Carrie, I'll go to you real quick. What have you seen so far that maybe has surprised you in regards to NASCAR at this point?
Well, I think the new car has performed well. I think there was a lot of unknowns with it. Still some things that need to be worked out. But I guess the thing that surprised me a little bit is some of the teams that are running up front, at least through the first 2 races. Certainly we saw Bubba Wallace with a runner-up finish at Daytona. And then this past weekend at California, you had Eric Jones, you had Austin Dillon, and Daniel Suarez all in the top 5. And so those aren't names that you see up there week in and week out. So I'm thinking that maybe some of these other teams, with the new car are able to compete a little bit better.
Yeah, it's from what I'd understood at the beginning of the season, it was intended that it would be more of, instead of man against the machine, like man against man, because it's sort of leveling the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's more back in the driver's hands now, at least so far, which I think the fans really like that.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie, we were doing the statistics to start this hour, and we realized Reggie Anderson is really bad at picking NASCAR drivers.
He's been harsh.
He was,
Bill has been harsh.
Reggie is just, he is not good at all.
Right.
I offered to give him, I said he had 36 minutes up until 8:40 to get in touch with Jen. Jen, did we get a first pick from Reggie, or is he still asleep?
I don't think he's still asleep. I think he's very hard at work. So I have not seen.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Jen, Jen must have kicked his dog or something at some point and owes Reggie multiple favors, and she's making up for it in this hour because how nice she's been. So we don't know. We have
not gotten a pick from
We've
him.
not gotten a pick. So, Carrie, due to that, you continue to get the first pick because you're the guest, and I'm constantly told the guest is always the person we should cater to.
Well, I'm going to go back to one of my favorite drivers. He's won at Darlington a time or two, and I think he'll be good out there at Las Vegas because he's won out there a couple times too. I'm going to go with Martin Truex Jr. to win on Sunday at Las Vegas.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Strong. I think I can't argue with that one. And, I've gone back and forth because Kyle Busch runs well there. Really, Kurt has run well there. I'm going to take maybe, I don't know. I've struggled with this. I'm going to say Elliott, which I shouldn't because Gamecock Larry actually picked Chase Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
So that may have doomed him, but I'm going to go with Elliott.
I'm going to shock you too. Okay. Normally this is where I would just say, give me my guy, give me Denny Hamlin, right? Normally that's my pick here, right? Okay. I've done some research. Jen winning last week has caused me to do a little research. I'm going to go outside of my comfort zone here.
William Byron?
How'd you know that?
Because there's some buzz about him.
Yeah, I'm going William Byron on this. He had the 8th place finish last spring. He's been unlucky at this track. There was a bad pit stop I've read about and a flat tire that have cost him at this track. He was good last week and got in the wreck. I'm going William Byron. I'm going out of my comfort zone. Patrick, you're with me on William Byron?
Yeah, big fan of the number 27 car, William
Oh,
Byron.
you're close.
You missed it by 3.
I was going to say it's 24, right?
Dang it.
That's us. That's it. That's why we bring a man with expert knowledge to the program. Kerry, we appreciate your time you spend with us each and every week, buddy.
Y'all have a good weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Take care. We will do it all again tomorrow. It's been the early game on 107.5 The Game.
All right. Well, live stream.
Sorry about turn program off.
Considering this was a major talking point of the show this morning, Rick Pitino just tweeted.
Oh. You should have jumped back in the final because I did go look at it.
You kept delaying. I thought you were going to try and get him off early so we could read this.
Yeah,
How did you forget? You forgot. I literally told you 2 minutes ago.
Well, because I was trying to look at a pick and figure out who I was going to take.
Yeah, I know.
Like
I was
having
really
girls.
hoping you were going to.
It's gonna be a
All right,
slap
read
fight soon.
Read the tweet.
Well, I'm a little peeved at Bill for not getting this in. We did talk about it for 3 hours.
And then the tweet comes out.
And then the tweet comes out at the end of the show, and Bill can't make time for it. The University of Maryland is one of the premier institutions of higher learning. Its basketball program can be among the nation's best. I hope they find the next Gary Williams. But I love coaching at Iona, and I'm totally committed to my players. It will not be me. From Rick Pitino. So. Yeah. All right. I'll see you guys.